You're not subbing to something.
Forgot.
Yep.
Yeah, me with that.
This is Harbor Town.
Good.
Harbor Town is an all-new series from Miniature Building Authority, the leader in tabletop gaming scenery.
I remember the title change up on. I did
Harbor Town will
wow.
take your games to.
Good evening. Started a little early just so we didn't have the auto host pop back up again. Whew. You guys hear me? Always ask. Let's see who else's hop pops on when they hop on.
Chat is not active yet, but we're early.
Oh yeah, and there's only 9 people on too. So today was such a beautiful day out. I know John was saying, it seemed like it was light all through Twitch, and I just think people are out a lot today. So I'm not worried about. We'll see where we are.
Yep.
But it was really a beautiful day today. It was one of the nicest day of the year to date that I can recall out there on the East Coast. So where I am.
Yep. We've had a lot of good days, but today was awesome. It was like 80 degrees out. Perfect. Dry 80 degrees.
Okay. Here comes 2 people. Carlos and Jason. What's up? You see this hear us, Carlos?
I can. Can you see me?
Yeah, you're good, man. I got the Kickstarter ad up okay, how are you?
Cool. Well, I'm doing all right. I got to. You guys got to give me a second to get everything set.
Oh, you're good, man. Take your time. Take your time.
I'm at work as we speak, so.
No problem. No problem. Like I said, just hang as long as you can. Leave
Okay.
whenever you have to go.
Cool.
Rocks, you out there? Anyone else out there? I just want to do a sound test. Make sure I had that. So,
somebody can hear us. Yep.
yeah, let me just make
Hey,
sure.
Anna, how you doing?
Oh, good. How you doing?
Was I upside down in the screen just now?
Yeah, you're upside down, but it's okay.
Okay.
What's up,
The
Jason?
world is kind of upside down
Hey,
too. So
guys.
it's kind of.
Hey, Anna.
Hi, Jason.
That's what I get for being married to an Australian for so long.
Exactly. So it gets to you after a while. So yep.
Okay. I think I'm back now.
Yep.
All right, cool. Cool. So how's everybody doing today?
Oh, good. Yep.
Beautiful, beautiful day today here in Jason, what do you think? It was a nice day out, man. It was really nice here in the outside the city limits.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I think I can smell Cleveland burning from here.
Yeah, outside the city limits, man. Philly.
Yeah, riot season have started here too, so yeah.
Yeah, I'm going out tomorrow for the first time.
Oh, cool.
Good. Yeah. I'm going grocery shopping today, like.
Mike, Greyhawk Mike, can you hear us? Gatano, can you hear us? Anyone out there, and can you hear us?
Yeah, I've been having trouble with Twitch. I think my whole
Thank you,
system's
Lefkos. Okay.
bad connection.
How about tonight? You seem pretty good tonight.
Yeah, I don't even have Twitch on though.
Yeah, that's it. In Norwell about to come up
Cool.
for our map. So I just switched out the Shieldlands one. Home of the Headhunters. Good, Left. I'm glad that you guys can hear us. What's up, Seeker? How are you? I think we'll have a fun discussion tonight.
Yes.
You know what? I better check email one more time and see if that. So Leonard sent us a table for tonight, Jason, and if he hops on, he hops on.
That'd be great.
Yeah. What's up, Mike? Yeah, we are going to attempt to start the Norwal group in 3 weeks. So next 2 weeks, we're going to be first Ulick Pathfinders and Principality Ulick. And then that third week of June, we're going to try and start some new firsts up that we wanted to do. So I think it'll be cool. Even the ever mysterious Tim will have a couple characters. So tonight, high level adventuring. Man, I tried to compile as many as I could, and there's a lot. So I had to cut out a bunch. You know, just got so many that I had to cut them back. You know.
Jay, what do we define as high level here?
That's a good question, Carlos. That's so
10 and above.
No, not see. What we did was we tried to say this level to this level with overlap, because you know how some adventures say from levels 4 to 7.
Yeah.
That's like a mid-level, but like, what about the adventures say levels 5 to 9? That's kind of mid-level too, because you're doing it mostly in. So we said, like, when you start at like 8th level in an adventure, that's kind of where the high begins, right? Because you're going to finish up, you're going to be probably at 9th Lord status in that area. So like those adventures that go 8th, 9th, 10th are definitely high, and then up above. So yeah, we're gonna have something say 7 to 10.
Kind of a nebulous term. I mean,
Well, you know,
it's very subjective.
It is.
well, part
it
of
is.
that is that old idea that you can do mass quantity of players for a higher level campaign. You know, like they do, like, you know, like say 12 4th level players or 6 8th level players, and that never made any sense to me.
That's true. Well, yeah, and there's a lot of different. It is subjective, but
Yeah,
we
I guess also depends on which rule system, which edition you're playing.
we try to
Seems to be-
objectify it at that because we did mid-level last week and it went very well. And that
Yeah.
5 to 7 range was lead over in 4th and 8th, and it kind of
But-
I kind of set that there. But it's
Yeah, but you can also-
amazing how many modules are in this area. You know, I mean, there's so many of them. So
Yeah, but
it's
you can also
729. We
define
can
it-
go over.
Yeah, you can also define it the other way around, saying that's when the characters have started to take on the highest profiled enemies and encounters and stuff that they will face in their careers, so to speak. It's when
Absolutely.
you start battling gods, you reach
You're
the
beyond
highest
that.
level, dragons and,
You know-
and stuff like that.
The problem with high level is the magic. Magic starts outweighing fighting ability.
But that's also depending on what rules edition you're using.
That-
In early AD&D and stuff, yes, that's definitely the case. In 4th
See,
edition,
yeah, and
probably
I
not at all.
That's a great point, Jason. I think that Len was trying to do that in this
Yep.
up in this little
Yeah.
chart he made. Let me see if I can. Hey, welcome everyone. We've already started the conversation beforehand, so
Yeah.
I got myself, Jay, Kaylor Gazumba, with our kind of regular guests there. Oh, there's Carlos. Yes, Carlos is at work and has joined us tonight. And
Yes,
we also-
I am. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're welcome, man. You're welcome. We also got, yes, Greyhawk Mike says, sweet, Carlos is on this episode. And
Yep.
we also have Anna Meyer and we have
Hi.
Jason Sabota. And I don't know where I snipped this in, man. So, Carlos, whenever you got to walk away, it's fine. I understand you're at work, so I don't want to.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
We don't want to
Thanks
get
for
you
having
into
me.
trouble or anything there, but this is
Oh,
awesome.
I'm gonna be okay. Thank you.
That you could hop on. So we were talking, and this is a good point. Where does high level begin and where does high level end?
Yeah.
Here's the thing too. High level in Greyhawk's not high level in Forgotten Realms. Not even close, you know. So at high level in Forgotten Realms could be 20th, 23rd level because it's just crazy. Like Harper's run around at 25th level. Our high levels are all different. So Carlos, what's your high levels at for your campaign?
I start considering players high level once they're over 10th.
Okay.
10th is that borderline between, for me, high and low level.
Okay.
But you have to remember, I think the individual timbre of a campaign kind of helps set that. For example, in a campaign like yours, Jay, where they've been playing for 40 years, you guys have had a lot more room to grow, and so your highest level character is bound to be higher than say a guy who's been playing 5 years. So for you, that moves the midpoint probably to somewhere around 12 to 15, whereas somebody who's just started, maybe they consider high level play to be at 8th or 7th.
I'm going to surprise you, Carlos. The highest level character my campaign brought up from 1st to 17th. Most of them are 14th, 13th, 14th because we kind of semi-retire them. So it's really funny you brought that up because I saw that when we got to that real super high point in those 1E, 2E plays, man, it was tough to throw up challenges against characters.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know what you saw in the 1E, 2E play, but it gets tough.
It does. I think that the game has its own way of mitigating that in some ways for me anyway. I remember, for example, my highest level character is a 20 plus character that I've been playing for over 35 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that personally I've seen level drain happen. I've seen, a couple of demons with the gate ability going, and it mitigates high level play pretty quick.
Cool. And then you always can throw other high level characters up against.
Exactly.
You could always do that. And so, Jason, I know you're not a high level aficionado.
No, I'm not big at high level stuff. I've been running games for a long time, but I've never really enjoyed stuff that gets past like 10th level.
Okay, but that doesn't mean you love the Giant series, which we're going to discuss.
Sure, but the highest level guy I ever had in that was a 13th, 14th level illusionist, and he was the granddaddy character out of all of them.
Okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I don't get much higher than that as well, there, Jason. So how about you, Anna, as far as high level? What signifies it in your Pathfinder?
In practice, it meant, since most of my my campaigns have been running 3.5. Well, second edition was a lot of it in the beginning, and then high level play was probably 10 plus. And then we got into the 3.5 era, and all of a sudden the sky was the limit, because then all of a sudden we had epic play up there, whatever. We never really reached. We had 3 characters that went beyond 20th level, I think 3, maybe 4. So but then I would say high level were probably 13, 14 plus. That was the highest level, so to speak. And then we went into the Pathfinder 1 era, and then it dropped down a little bit. So I would say everything from like 12 upwards, because then 20 was more of a hard limit. So I don't think in 10 years playing Pathfinder 1, I don't think I had one character going higher than 16 was the highest we
Wow.
made it. Yeah. So then everything, probably about 12 or so was 12 to 16, 17, 18 would have been the highest levels of play.
Okay.
And now I think with PF2, we can probably go a little bit higher, because this is one of the key difficulties in D&D in its history is balance various things and make it playable at high levels, and then manage power creep and all sorts of stuff at higher levels. And that's one of the things they've been tackling the most, especially in the most recent edition, is to how powerful should magic be at high level and stuff like that. So I think you touched on a lot of really essential topics when it comes to high level play that makes it difficult, alluring, and troublesome. And 4th edition, I think, was the biggest kind of break from it. But now we're getting into edition thing, but that's been
okay.
part of it. So, yeah.
I went through and culled through all these adventures. So if I missed one of these classics, I apologize to everyone. Carlos, Jason, if you think of one I missed, that let's talk about it. But Carlos has got his own, and we want to get to them because they're fantastic, and they're in here and they're scrolling through. And I got a lot of third-party ones. There's one or two that are legendary as far as off party. You probably know which one I'm talking about. Jason, by Judges Guild. It's on my wall of fame, and so
yeah. It's been a while for me, but I hadn't been thinking of that as super high level or anything.
It's not super high level, but it's high level. It's high level.
What's the recommended level on Dark Tower?
I think it's like 7 to 11, 7 to 12. It's wide.
Yeah,
it's like that's the thing with these old ones. They're crazy on the level spread. So
that's a crazy spread there.
So let's do this, Carlos. Let's start with your and my favorite and get that out of the way. How about that? Because I know we have you, and let's talk about it. Right?
Okay.
Let me go right. Lost Caverns of Shokanth. Right?
It's my favorite of all time.
I know it is.
I vividly remember when that thing came out. I'm being a 12-year-old boy. I'm in my living room, laying on my stomach, reading that thing after just getting home from buying it at the hobby store, and it blew my little mind. I mean, we hadn't had any real new material for a while outside of Dragon Magazine, and that wasn't as accessible in some areas, or at least back then as it is now. And I just remember seeing all this new material, all these new monsters, all these new demon lords, all these new magic items, and I just couldn't handle it. I was like I almost went into anaphylactic shock as like a little 12-year-old kid.
The add-on folder to this makes this just so memorable. Plus the items, plus I say it's the most shameful thing that you cannot have Drellsnet beyond this module, right? I mean, it's too bad because she's a great enemy. Brilliantly done. And then all the great items in this adventure, all the great new monsters. I mean, the Bahira right on the cover. All the new demons you have in here. You drive the characters crazy by trying to get into the middle because they got to go all the way and do the entire thing. Plus, this is on Fantasy Grounds now too, so you can get this for VTT as well. Jason, did you ever play this?
No, I hate that module. No, it has so many things in it that I don't like. Like right off the bat with genies and wishes and stuff. I don't run that at all.
That's okay, Jason. To each his own. We're all different DMs here. It's great. Carlos, what do you think? I mean,
Well,
did you ever run it?
it's my. I'm gonna quite in contrast to Jason. It's my favorite module of all time.
All time.
And I couple it with WG4 Lost Cav or Forgotten Temple of
Oh, you mean
Thurisdan
this?
as well.
Yes, Thurisdan. Now, I didn't know that was a sequel at first.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a sequel prequel. It's kind of like a gigantic subquest to it, if you want to look at it that way. I like to pair the two of them together because I find Thurisdan is a little less deadly. It's a little more forgiving in a lot of places than Socanth is, and as a result, you can kind of use it to supplement characters' power going through it. So when they actually get to Socanth, they're not gonna die right away.
But this has something that's permanent death.
It also has something that raises character levels or character attributes.
Yeah, it does, but it also, if they fail, they're poof. And
Yeah.
that could be without any comeback possibility. And that is really, we've had it happen.
By the way, even though he's not here right now, and I'd like to give a shout out to Alan Growy,
Okay.
who has done a lot of work on Lost Caverns. Excuse me. Let's try that one more time. On Socanth, he's expanded it a lot and done a lot of stuff with planar gates in it and things like that. That I think is really, really cool additions. And if anybody knows, go to his From Kuros Quill blog. You'll see what I'm talking about. Really cool stuff.
So you recommend Thurisdan first?
I kind of do. I kind of do. I think in my opinion, through playtesting and from playing Thurisdan as many times as I have, it degenerates every single time to the exact same way. There's a massive brawl with the entire dungeon just out in the front of it with
like G1.
Yeah, pretty much. Every single time it goes the same way. But what you do find out is that player characters can actually get a little bit more power that way, so that when they find themselves in some of the situations that Jason was talking about, where there are definitely high level things in play, they're a little bit more prepared to handle it.
That's a great idea. I never even thought about doing that. I probably will never rerun these. You never know, but never say never, right? So, all right. So we're through 2 already, guys. See how quick that went? 38 to go, and we'll get down. Let's do one that Jason likes next, and then we're going to hit the Carlos's. You go with that, Carlos, time wise?
Yeah, fine with that, man.
Okay, Jason. What your high level in that 9th level range? Your favorites, the G series? Would you say?
Well, it's partly nostalgia for me because that's where I started out my high level gaming. Back in '78 when the Folio came out and everything. I think that's when they let G1 out. I started in '77 with Holmes Basic, and there really wasn't anything in between. That you didn't come up yourself.
True.
So when my first experience with, I was still a player during the G series, and I absolutely love it. But we switched off GMing between our group, and I got to start off with G3, and then I just kept rolling through the D series. So that was my kid time. I was about 13 or 14 when we were really getting into the GDQ series.
And yeah, that's
Jason, I'm curious, which of the 3 is your favorite?
Well, so far it's a toss-up. I love the G series.
Right.
I love G1 the best. I've written a novel about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really, I was a player back then. And that's one of the last times I was a serious player. And then
35 years ago.
Yeah. And then DMing the D series was just so incredible, but it was so open-ended. And we went real wild with the D series. In the D series, we went off, and I had those guys were going off in all kinds of directions. And we got distracted for a while by doing these gladiatorial games. Running Drow had captured all the players, and they were all forced to fight as gladiators, and we had a kind of Spartacus thing going on.
Like a Star Trek episode.
Yeah. So, like those little side caverns, they ended up being these various mansions, and they were eventually brought over into the Vault of the Drow as slaves to fight in a big arena game.
Yes, we will
And that's when they caused a slave rebellion. So,
we
you
will
know,
get to that. I mean,
we had a great time. But
That's
G1, just starting out with G1. G1 is 8 pages long, and I swear, you open that book up and that module up, and it is deeper than some of these 120-page mega adventures. G1 has so much potential. Now, one of the big mistakes is it was a tournament, so there is this one night thing where if they go in when the gathering is going on, it's people don't realize that doesn't happen every night. It's not happening during the day. So G1 makes you think as a DM, well, this example they give, all the giants are in the Great Hall. But you have to think, well, what are they doing during the day? What are they going to do after the first incursion? They're not all going back to that every single time. So G1 immediately presupposes that you're going to have to take that information and build on it.
It's a good point, Jason. I never even thought about it that way. It's a good point. Definitely.
So, like you're saying with the Theradistan module, that it happens the same way. G1 doesn't. That's only the one example. That was the tournament. Once you're past that one night, that doesn't happen again. That was this great ceremony for the Cloud Giant Chief.
Yeah, he's right.
That was there, and it's not going to happen again in the game. So your giants are going to be prepared for you. And it becomes a much different game after that first encounter, if you even do it that way.
Very
so
good.
G1 is an immense module in 8 pages. That's what Gygax could do.
I agree 100%. Anna, have you ever run any of the Gs?
No, I haven't, but I've definitely read them both for my map making and they haven't given me that much, but the Zoicanth and Thyriston gave me a lot, especially the Zoicanth one, because they had demons and devils and all sorts of cool monsters and stuff in them, and NPCs and stuff that I've definitely stolen and used frequently in my and also Igwil will be playing a small part in my upcoming campaign too. So as one of the major factions up there, not directly but indirectly, one that behind the scenes pulling around things and stuff. So that's usually how I've dealt with these high level adventures. I haven't used and also sometimes I've even used the dungeons and then at the basic design of it and added and so on and so forth. And I also try to always make sure that if I placed it on the map where it's supposed to be in the adventure, that's where it is in my world too. So I try not take away. What I do is that I tweak and add. That's my kind of philosophy. I want to try and incorporate the original feel and intent with the module, and then I add and tweak and blend that into my campaign and try to think about, okay, so how does this fit in the greater political puzzle? And when we get up to these big movers and shakers that are the ones that affect the whole continent and its politics and every individual and monster there, then it is big politics. In my campaigns, it becomes big politics. Who's going to rule countries and who's going to kill a lot of them and get the magic research to get the most powerful, cool spells and stuff like that. So they play a vital part in the inspiration and part of the groundwork for what I do in my campaigns.
Let's use a little humor here, and Carlos, I know you'll laugh when you see this. Here's the back of G1 to 3. The NPC list. Number 5, Funkin' Hottie Peak himself.
Oh,
who's actually the second in command of the Order of Ulick to this day, which is really kind of crazy.
I am very proud to tell you all that I got to play Glebe Warp the Eyebiter in Alan Growe's campaign.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I feel very proud of that.
Cool.
So he did one where he just said you got to use all these characters? Is that... No.
Oh. He used them to supplement his normal NPCs because I think he had a bigger table than he expected. Cool. And I was the first one to draft, and I wanted the high-level magic user, so he happened to be the guy.
Beautiful. That is awesome.
And he actually adapted him and did some other interesting stuff with him that's not on that sheet. So
let's skip going from G to D now, because we got Carlos here, and I want to go to, while we have him, I want to go to Carlos's modules here. And let me skip through ahead here. So we got all. I put yours right after all the public ones. Dark Clouds Gather, Ruins should be right here. There we go, Kill Marquesa. Okay, so if you know, the Marquesa series that Carlos has is taken right from the Slave Lords and then the Slavers. And go for it, Carlos. Explain what we got going on.
Those are probably the worst high-level modules ever written. I don't recommend them to anybody. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you so much for promoting them. It's very nice of you. Well, for me, as I ran through the Slave Lord modules, they're some of my favorite modules ever. I always loved the Slave Lords themselves more than I liked the actual modules. I just thought they were so full of character and they implied so much. And of all of them, my favorite was not really one of the Slave Lords, but a sub-Slave Lord, one of their lieutenants named Marquesa. Now, for those of you who have played through the Slave Lord modules know Marquesa. She's in A2, Secret of the Slaver's Stockade. And she's basically the Dr. Mengele of Greyhawk. She does all these horrible experimentations on people and turns them into monsters or versions of herself, so she can have duplicates running around of herself. So it's difficult to kill her. She is just such a horrifying character if you extrapolate what she's like. You delve a little bit deeper into her, and that's my favorite of the covers right there, A7. That's done by our guy Dan Govar. So
that's awesome.
She's really a really memorable character for me, and I really wanted to honor her with my first modules. And A5 was the first Castle module that we ever published, which is Kill Marquesa.
But now you made it into a feature. Every year we're supposed to kill Marquesa in a new way and make it more fun and intriguing.
Yeah, what happened was the first year that I ran it at Gary Con, Marquesa got away. Mm-hmm. And that table was filled with some real luminaries. Greyhawk Mike was there, for example, and his friend Jason was there. Luke Gygax was at that table. There's a lot of really great players, and I wanted to give the guys a chance to kill Marquesa. So the next year she moved to another one of her headquarters. And finally, the third year, she moved to one of her a final headquarters, and the group did successfully kill Marquesa. And Anna Meyer was a part of that group. She played Druid.
We had so much fun on that little island, and I'm so glad that I can put that island. It was already on my map. That was the most awesome thing. And so we could name it. It was so awesome. You put little island there, and I looked at my map. There was an island there. Before I knew that you had done that adventure. That was so awesome. So
I used your map for that because I wanted to kind of honor your work with that because I like it so much. And there's an inside joke for it too, because I called the island Moreau Point. Well, there's another doctor whose last name is Moreau out there. For anybody who's a movie buff that likes to do genetics as well. So that was why I called it Moreau Point.
That's how you got it from. Yeah. It was an awesome adventure, and we had so much fun. Yeah. Playing that.
So, thank you so much. But the A7 was the last Marquesa module. However, I'm pleased to announce I just uploaded it to the printer like 3 days ago. A8 is now out there, which is called From Dark Roses, Black Thorns Grow. And anybody who's played Secret of the Slaver's Stockade will know exactly who that is we're talking about.
I love that name. That is such a great name.
The art is done by Rachel Quinlan, another good friend of mine who might be doing some Magic cards soon. For those of you who are Magic aficionados, it's a little bit lower level than the other ones because the conceit of it is that the A team is out there doing still more other things for the patron who's after the slave lords. The whole conceit of the modules was that one of the survivors of the original mission to kill the slave lords, so his name was anyone who's played the module, it was Dread Delgath. He ended up, after the failure in A5, he got kidnapped by the slavers himself. So his apprentice was going after the slave lords and trying to kind of revenge him. Well, she sent the A team out to do other things, and now the B team is taking after this new module.
That's great. It's cool.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. I think I seem to be known best for the Marquesa modules because so many people have played them, enjoyed them at different conventions. But right now, we've got a lot of other stuff. So.
You do, and
Yeah.
you do. And while we still have you here, I want to talk about the other one I put up, and that is C11. Because that is high. Yeah, when comes the witching hour? It's levels 9 to 12. Yeah.
C11 is easily the most dangerous module I've ever created. It's the
Okay.
longest module I've ever created, 88 pages at like 8-point font. Okay, this
Right.
thing is massive. It's dense and it is deadly. Obviously, if you look at the cover, that's a Golev on the cover.
Mhm.
The whole idea is the Witch Queen, part of one of her schemes that she has launched in the past, is coming to fruition, and everybody has to infiltrate an old haunt of hers. It's really my homage to Sokanth because I love that module so much. Sorry, Jason, but
That's
that
okay.
is I love that module so much that I couldn't help but homage it in my own way.
Over again.
In particular, there's a couple of those characters there in there that I am probably fondest of that I've ever created. Like there's one, there's a Merilith demon in there by the name of the Stargazer, who is possibly one of my favorite characters ever because she kind of uses there's a part in a module written by Bruce Cordell called Dead Gods, in which Orcus is he's ascending to godhood, and he learns something called the Last Word. And it opened up this conceit of this primeval language by which creation was made. And Stargazer has unlocked some secrets that has using astronomy and astrology that have driven her insane. And I kind of like the insane Merilith in that module.
We need to get. I have tried, Carlos, to get Bruce on this show. I would love to talk to him about that too. That would be wonderful. That and Bash Faith. It's been tough.
I really don't have a relationship with Bruce, unfortunately, so I can't help you in that.
No, I'm just saying, we got to double team him or something. We got
yeah, absolutely.
Because he wrote some great
he's
stuff.
Responsible for so much cool stuff.
Oh my God,
and,
yeah.
So
I'm a fan, and but anyway, going back to C11, there is one thing about C11 though that I found very, I think is very important. Going back to just general high level play. And we talked about it a little bit in the preamble, and that is once you start getting at high level, the characters starting to have resources, spells like Find the Path or Commune or things like that are can be real game breakers as far as the way a DM designs a module. Because usually what you do, and Anna could speak to this, I'm sure as well, the way you design a map, for example, really will change the whole complexion of the way a dungeon is done. For example, if you make the map so esoteric that they don't run into all the cool stuff, you kind of have hurt yourself as a designer. Well, it's the same way as a DM in that they have access to all these ultra powerful spells, but because of those spells, it can break the scenario very easily if you're not careful. So you have to be the way that you design those high-level modules is really, really tricky. And that's sort of why I don't do a whole lot of high-level modules. If you've ever done like a Drow statistic block or something forever, and you really do due diligence to it, you could do a 2-page Drow statistic block with no problem. And I would just prefer not to do that. So
you have to be careful when you write high levels because the balance is so, and if you run like me, if you run a lot of specialized rules, a double specialized fighter can be, or a cavalier, or can be crazy. It can really skew things. You just got to be careful.
Absolutely.
But you got a knack for doing it, and that's why I've linked it multiple. No problem. I've linked his multiple times, his Patreon and his Castle Entertainment site into the chat, guys. I have a couple. I would recommend you guys at least taking a look at a couple of them and getting them in hard. It's always better to have them in hard copy, not in PDF. You gotta have them in hard copy, guys, because that's just.
Yeah, one thing about Castle Entertainment, one thing I really wanted to do with our company is it was important to me that we do physical products as well as PDF, because there's so many guys out there that do just PDF only, and I know for all of us old schoolers, a lot of us 1E guys and ladies, we don't really necessarily like electronic all the time. The hard copy, it's really hard to replace that feel, having the book in your hands. So it was really important to me that I did hard copy as well as PDF.
And let me tell you something, Carlos is amenable to discussion as well, because, you know, I convinced Carlos and we did this great joint adventure, and that Gen Con, 10 hours of DMing between the two of us. Absolutely. That was an awesome time. You, me, and Mark there. That was great. I love that.
Jay, actually, too, just for your edification, that module is actually right now on my workbench.
Awesome.
So I'm actually starting to do some work towards getting that finally out there. My schedule's cleared up enough finally that I can get to the bottom of it.
I think we have people on Discord all the time and Facebook asking about, I heard about this. I saw you run it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to run the second part.
You and I have to do some work offline, though, on that, as far as, nailing down the cover artists and things like that. Because there's a few things I want to talk to you about.
Okay, cool.
I want to make this thing look the way that both of us want, rather than just the way Carlos wants it to look.
And the location's on Anna's permanent map. So there you go. Yeah. It's already on Anna's permanent map. It's in the Dun Mounds but I don't. Oh gosh, here it is. You can barely see it on this one. I haven't
updated that one.
So no, I haven't. So guys,
you have to.
I'm re-snipping. I'm re-snipping as I go, man, because I had like 100 of them. Because Anna and I spent, this one's brand new. Anna and I spent 4 hours, I think it was total.
Yeah.
Re-editing my stuff into her 576 map, not 598, because the 576 map fits so much better. We did it on Friday because Blue Box is going to start running Greyhawk as well, and he's going to run it in my world, kind of a little bit in the fringes of it. And so we need to get it all updated. And of course, I missed some stuff. I always miss stuff, but only a couple.
Oh, you missed it. Okay, we have to add that too. So at least you have a much better map now that is fitting your campaign better. So
well, I'm doing two things right now to give everybody a little bit of a look behind the curtain that Anna doesn't even know I'm doing right now. Is I'm actually writing a master document for Anna, and I'm doing one for Joe Block right now. The first one for Anna is taking every single location that is in or referred to in my books, indexing them and giving them to her with a date on them, so that you can very easily put them up there.
Yep.
So that we can integrate a little bit better with that.
Yeah. Give it to me within the next couple of weeks or a month, then we will get them in the atlas, and then you can have the reference on your module reference, and we put that on the map as well.
That's the way to do it.
And the other one I was talking about is I'm doing one for Joe Block, in which I take everything that I mentioned, because I do Greyhawk stuff, but to respect IP, which is important to me. And it's not just so I don't get sued. It's important for me to make sure that the people that made this stuff actually get the credit for it. Mm-hmm. So I change all the names in my books to you can tell, like, for example, the Woolly Bay is the Fleecy Bay and things like that. But Joe and I have been talking offline a lot about making a master document that takes both of our stuff and so it's like a Rosetta Stone, so you can tell exactly what it means in Greyhawk. Well, I'm doing that right now and sending it to Joe, so that all of our stuff, you can tell exactly what the analogs are.
Smart, very smart to do that. Brings me to another point. We had Carlos, we had a meeting Saturday morning about Virtual GreyhawkCon. And everyone's all worried about me using that name. So to cover my butt and all of yours, I sent a letter to WotC, so you all can relax, okay? So we'll see what happens. If they tell us to change it, we'll change it.
That will be October then.
Yeah, or
done Falcon.
Or it could be it may even just say Virtual Greyhawk Fan Con or something, just so they know it's fan created. We'll see.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah.
Well, Hawk. Yeah, I still like Hawktober.
So we'll see. Yeah. We'll see. So all right, from G, Carlos and Jason and Anna goes D's, right? So one of my favorites of all time is I love all three of them, but this one is the Vault of the Drow. Was one of the best of all time. Now, I'm going to go on a soapbox for 10 seconds, guys. This is not your Drow Bible. This you do not use. See this? You take this and you throw it away, okay? All right? This is your Bible for Drow and Greyhawk. This module, D3. Everything you need to know about a Dark Elf is in this module. There's death lances in here. There's the way fighting combat should be in here. There's pincer staffs. There's all sorts of cool stuff. Use D3 as your reference for Dark Elves in your campaign. I do not want to see Drizzits running around in Greyhawk, okay? Please. All right?
So
Yes.
now one question is when they reprinted it into the big compilation module, is everything from that one included in the big
It is,
compilation?
but I would still go with this for the net. Right,
Okay.
Jason? Go with the old ones.
Yeah, well, the problem was most of what they did for the monster module was they created some very poor linking material.
Yeah.
But they really didn't do much about adding anything. The monster modules, basically the smaller modules with some linking material between the G series, but it's not really an increase in anything.
No. Now, the Against the Giants one is not bad because it creates a story, creates some extra. It kind of makes a little bit of sense. But the GDDQ all the way through Queen of Spiders one, the old ones are all you need. All right, D1 and 2 are together in a good series of modules, and D3 separate. That's all you need to have for go G to D, and there are horrors unbeknownst, and there are some just to show Gary's genius. We talked about this during heraldry on Legends and Lore. This thing describes all of the heraldric symbols of all 8 houses of listen to me, I must slip there. All High Sinlu. Oh my God, guys, shoot me! And all the merchant clan symbols are in here too, and they describe them. So this thing is really detailed, and it's not a large module. And so, Carlos, what do you think about that?
Well, Carlos,
I actually really I love D3. And in fact, I have tried to use it as a template before for some stuff that I've done. Anna and I once discussed a module or a project that I was thinking about doing Slorotin's Tunnel at one point in time.
Oh.
And I thought to myself, you know what would be a really cool idea is kind of using the idea of D3 as kind of a template, how I would kind of plan it out. And I realized very quickly that D3 is a very singular experience.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to kind of replicate what Gygax did with that, which is really an attestment to, it attests to his genius to me. I looking at that thing, it's pretty hardcore, and there's that old saying that brevity is the soul of wit. Well, I in my own modules, obviously that's not the case. I'm more long-winded, if anything else, but Gary was really, really good at editing himself as far as that goes. And I think that module is a really, really cool experience. I love the different houses that he designed for it. I mean, he made the blueprint for Drow culture for us with that. So I think it's really, really cool.
Agreed.
Oh,
100%.
and I would also mention, you didn't mention it about that, but I will say that my favorite part of D3, the whole D's experience, D1, 2, 3, is actually in D1 in Descent, because there's a Wandering Monster 20th level Lich in that. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that's true.
20th level Wandering Monster Lich?
They got all sorts of crazy stuff in the Wandering Monster table in there, man.
If I was a player in there, I'd start hurling dice at my DM. You gotta be kidding me. Come on now.
The Logitalis, no Brizzit, no Crizzit, no cousins of Drizzit, please. Guys, I know what Unearthed Arcana says they went too far. We had an entire Gabbin, I think Carlos was part of it, talking about Dark Elves. They don't, they're running around with long swords up here like, you know what I mean? Come on, that's not the way they fight. They actually fight with bucklers. They're single weapon buckler fighters. That's the way it should be. It's right in D3. Look, the female and male fighter societies are in the module. They're not dual wielding. There's like rare dual wielders in the Dark Elf Society. Okay, it just drives me insane. I'm sorry.
Although I will say this though, Jay.
Yeah.
In Shadows over Istavan, which is a 3rd level, a 3.5 module, Dungeon Magazine, they have a dual wielder named Shang. on the cover of a draw module for that.
Okay.
And if you ever see that character, the way that she is designed is absolutely elegant as hell.
Good.
and deadly beyond belief. So that particular Dro I will put up there as an example of how to do the dual wielder Dro properly. I think that character is nasty.
It's okay to have. I mean, because in all societies are going to have dual wielders. Even dwarf, there could even be
Sure.
dwarf dual wielders. I have no problem with that. I just have a problem with what. Gosh, I'm not even going to say his name. What R.A. Salvatore did to Dark Elves. Okay, it's not his fault actually. So it's someone else. It's someone's fault. I got to blame someone. It's just, but you know, it's like they just took it too far.
I'm with you, Jay. I really am. I just, like I said, that's just a good example of culturally how they could do that.
Awesome.
You can use that. You can use that concept and actually still make it cool, even though it's so played out.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, we agree there. How about you, Jason? You agree with me? You're just gonna say no.
Well, you know, I always saw the drow fighters as if they're two-hand fighters, they're like a main gauche and a main sword,
Okay,
rather than two main weapons. But you know, like they were the. I always saw them as more of the elegant Three Musketeer style duelists. You know,
which is fine. I have no problem with finesse fighters. Just the stand and deliver torpedo. You know, when you start abusing, any rules could be abused. When you start abusing Cavaliers and Unearthed Arcane and making them dual wielders, you're abusing the rules sets. You are.
I always
Jason, did you ever play through D3 before?
I'm sorry?
Did you ever play through D3 before, or did you ever run it yourself?
Sure, yeah.
What'd you think of it, man?
Well, I absolutely love the whole D series. D3 actually. One of the things I had picked up this huge model tower called the Warlord Tower, and I used it as the Black Tower, and it was my one miniature kind of convention piece. And I'd have a battle to the death with the adventurers being wiped out by greater and greater forces from the drow. As it says in the beginning of the vault there, that if you stay too long at that black tower at the entranceway, they'll just keep and eventually overwhelm you. But no, I love the whole concept, but it is, again, very, very Gygaxian in that you are meant to develop all these places. They're also, I don't think they're all the same. I think each house should have its own character. From the design of the whole house should not be, one house should be different from another house.
Oh, absolutely. And all the estates have named, I mean, you know, Clavger's the head of the Elseer's house, and they have all different. I agree 100% with that.
And the biggest thing about the vault and all D modules, you need to think three-dimensionally. You remember in Wrath of Khan, where Khan's sinking two-dimensionally, supposedly, in the fight. And the problem with the D series is you're presented a flat map. But really, the D series should be where...
Oh, the first zonk of the night.
Exactly, the first one.
That was pretty good to be the first one.
Oh man, I was getting into that. I'm sitting here following. I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
but
cool,
he's
cool.
always when he comes up with the most interesting things. Right, and it's cut.
Well, you guys are gonna have to give him my farewells. I'm gonna have to jet. I'm gonna follow you guys still over on Twitch, but
okay.
I need to do some work. So,
Carlos, thanks for hopping on while you could, man. Thank you so very much. I'll talk to you soon and hang in there.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, and I'll join in on the chat.
That's great, man. When you can.
I can.
Oh, it's great talking with you, Carlos.
Oh, thanks a lot, Jason. Jason, I got plans for us to game soon. Be prepared.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Take it easy, guys.
All right,
Bye
see you,
now.
Carlos. Thank you for hopping on, man. Bye-bye. That was excellent, guys, getting Carlos on while we did to discuss his modules and, and to talk about some of the other ones there. So back to D1, 2, and 3. I think Coatoans are geniusly done too in D2. They are just insane. The Monitor is a monk, so Skagath would hate it, right, in disguise.
But they're cool. I like them that they have that kind of complete craziness touch to them, and it's kind of it's awesome. That's fantasy. And I don't want a whole world full of fish people and all sorts of weirdy things, but sometimes it's fun to have something that goes almost overboard, that makes it you need some of that, and it's kind of cool. It's like Vastri and the hopping prophet and stuff. It's some of these things are
Yeah.
you need to spice it up with. So yeah.
And of course, everyone knows real quick that I took Croatoans who really cannot be surface dwellers at all because of sunlight, right? They're very bad in sunlight. So what do? They take and they breed Murlocs and raid the surface world with their Murlocs. So which I rip right from WoW guys. So that's how I got Murlocs into the game there. So Jason, any final thoughts on?
It's just in general on the D series that the D series is depicting a world as vast and diverse as the upper world. But again, it's up to you to develop. So that there's a lot of adventuring that can be done with the D series, and it's implied, but it's up to you to stat it out, to create all that.
I agree 100%. Agree 100% on that. And let's finish it up with a bizarre finale to all of it, right? And that would be, let me make sure I find it here. Here it is. Q1.
Yes, the biggest disappointment.
Not the biggest. I have more big ones than that. We all know that. But
after the lead up from the GD series, Q was a massive disappointment.
There is genius in here, though. The alternate worlds are wonderful.
Yes.
The alternate world story. We actually have an entire sub-adventure series in Sayir CD, which is one of the connecting worlds to Q1, where one of the characters in my campaign comes from. And we've actually had Night of Yule characters go back there to help him, because in that world, the elves are evil. And the dwarves are imprisoned by the elves and subservient to them, and it's wonderful. It's like a Bizarro world almost, right? And it's kind of cool, a little bit different, different type of play. But you're right, the ending's terrible.
But the conclusion with Loth is terrible. The demon web is a wonderful idea, and it allows you to do absolutely anything.
Yeah.
You want to get over into Forgotten Realms or Dragonlance, you want to get to Eberron or whatever's out there, you can go through the demon web pits. It's a world of alternate dimensions. You can get anywhere. You can get to Earth, you can get to any place. So the demon web is a wonderful concept, but the conclusion of the module itself was just woof.
Yeah.
It was very disappointing.
I agree 100%. Sometimes it just doesn't go the right direction. We all have those disappointing modules that we've discussed in previous shows. They're like, oh, what the heck were they thinking? So let's discuss some of these other classics now. And if you guys want to hop up on another classic that we have here and you want us to discuss, we'll all do that at the same time. But I think let's do this one. Jason, and I don't know if either of you have ever run this. This is on my wall of fame.
Ravager of Time, I've read it. I haven't run it.
Oh, it is freaking nasty. I personally think this character, Nuala, who's the evil antithesis in this, is as bad as Marquesa as far as on vileness. This is a UK adventure, technically, but it says I8. Okay, but it's still a UK one. She takes your characters and drains all their life force from them at the beginning, and you're a month away from your natural death. So you have 30 days in this module to figure out how to get, how to survive. And she's created copies of all the characters at their younger self, all evil copies. It's freaking nasty. and this thing drags on, and you're out in the swamp, and you're like, oh my god, is this gonna end? And you just feel hopeless in that adventure. You get that, yeah. You yes, Tim. I loved running this because, man, and you have to defeat yourselves as younger versions of yourself as an a venerable, almost dead character. Really nasty stuff. So I would highly recommend that one. Jason, what did you think when you read it?
Oh, well, I unfortunately thought it was a railroad, so
Okay,
I was looking for, well,
that's okay.
I mean,
That's okay.
A4, for example, is a railroad. It's a wonderful adventure idea
Yeah.
as far as going to a tournament and being forced through these things. But when you're forced into that kind of no choice situation, I never like putting that on my character with
Okay,
the player.
fair enough.
And I'm a mean DM. I just didn't like that.
Oh man, it's freaking nasty. So
But like you guys are talking about how hard it is to design high level
it
adventures. Now,
is.
well, see, I would say I don't like running them, but as far as design goes, what you do is you make that. But for an adventure, you're actually going to role play. You make the villains so much more powerful than the characters that it takes the players playing together as a team with ingenuity to get through it, and that's their advantage.
Not true.
Uh,
Absolutely.
but
I
but
agree.
simply that's why I don't believe in balance or anything. I mean, it's just win or lose, the characters are having their adventure.
It's good point. Good point. And
But no, that was just that business of aging your players. Oh my god.
and it's one of those you should take a look at. So if you have,
Well, yeah, I kind of like the idea. My caveat will be that I don't want to. I mean, some DMs and fantasy storytellers in general, they just want to come up with some cool idea concept, and then they just say, "Oh, this is now the this is how this adventure works," and without having a disregard, meaning they want to invent cool new concepts for meaning that one creature can break all the rules and the mechanics and the D&D physics, so to speak, and when it suits them. And I don't really like that idea, just to meaning create a peril by breaking the rules for this moment now, meaning then if that monster or whatever can break the rules, then so should someone else do. So I'm trying, for me, D&D physics is something more, a little bit more substantial, meaning you should break the rules in principle, so to speak. And if that one can do it, then someone else can research it, and then the whole world would have gone haywire a long time ago. So I try to limit these things, but that is interesting. But time and tweaks, things like that, is really, really, really tricky. Meaning, why wouldn't someone have come up with this and ended the world a long time ago, so to speak? So I'm a little bit too much grounded in reality, a little bit too much to be the perfect DM, that's for sure. But something I want to play with, and I'm probably meaner than both of you when it comes to being a DM at times. So yeah, but I love to introduce a lot of fantastic aspects in my game, but they should be equal over time, and they should be, especially not over time, but especially to everybody. Meaning, if you research it and you acquire the skill and the resource or whatever, anyone should be able to do it, so to speak.
Well, I like a logical consistency.
Yeah, exactly. It needs to be consistent in its own way. So as long as things can be that, then they can be as screwed up as possible. But they should make sense. If something is so screwed up that the whole world will go down the drain, okay, so be it. But I don't want to have that, because I don't want it to happen to my campaign world.
See,
my version of it.
I look at it a little differently. Like with Ravager of Time,
Yeah.
she's acquired this crazy ability, however, and sometimes it's like the Bob Beeman long jump back in '60, whatever, where he jumps 3 feet past the record and no one knows how he did it.
Yep.
That's what happens sometimes in a fantasy setting.
Yeah, and I've had similar things, meaning then you have to go up, and it's like a new virus, whatever, if we can all join together and we can defeat it, then we abolished it and it will not come back again. And you can tell this, but at least you open up for the possibility that, oh, then someone else can recharge it or get the tweaky thing, and which can be cool because that can create like the One Ring scenario, meaning someone else might come up with it 10 years later, and then you can, oh, we have to go out and kill that thing too, that kind of figured out how to do it, so to speak.
Well, like in my game, early on, we were doing higher level stuff, but there was nothing out there in the late 70s. So one of my friends, we wanted to do research in magic, and he came up with this area of magic called blood magic, and it was just wonderful. And it had this wonderful logical consistency to it, and the spells he came up with were just they worked, and they had their own flavor to them.
Jason, do you know that there's blood magic in Dragon Age?
Well, I bet, but this was
there is.
But this
didn't exist before, so
that's
but
pretty cool.
Yeah, but this is, I think, a very important aspect to think about in general, because you can run low level campaigns. You go out on your rat catching and you kill the local villains and the marauding orcs or the troll that comes in and kind of kill everybody in the village, etc. But when you get into the high level play, when characters are starting to have the highest level spells and even wish and stuff like that becomes part of the gameplay, then you get into these metaphysical, meaning what is possible, what should be possible, and what kind of problems do I want to tackle, where are the limits in my game style and in the way I want to see it, my campaign. And I think it's important that, meaning you can have games, there's nothing wrong with having adventures that are as screwed up as possible, but what I think is you can have that and you can have immense fun with it. There's nothing wrong. But I think the key is that you as a DM, you have to figure out, okay, so how do I want my world to be? Do I want it to be utterly chaotic and then manage it on a case by case basis, which I think you can run campaigns for decades without that. And so on, and also how much of that do I want to tell my players? Meaning you can hold a lot of the D&D physics, even if you DM, you can wing it, and it could appear to there's some sort of logic, and a bit like we've had examples like the players want to figure it out, but there might not be, and then all of a sudden the players might figure out an awesome scheme, and it's like, that's so good, I'll keep it. And so you can play and toy with this. So it's only part game mechanics, part what's needed.
Yeah.
The other part is psychology, how you actually run your game. So there's a lot of liberty, meaning the envelope is almost unlimited, so to speak. So it's important how you think about your campaign for your own sanity and your effectiveness as a DM, and also how you communicate that to your players and how creative your players are, because often when you run into a bind, the players can save you by coming up with all sorts of cool connections that you never thought of, and adopt the good ones that feels right for you, and the players will be like, yes, we figured it out, but you never had an idea of how the hell you could. It's like a Bond movie. You wonder, how could Bond get out of that bind that he got into, and so creative players can help, especially I think in high level campaigns.
Definitely, absolutely.
And that is this is the problem with high level campaigns is just that the every time you increase these spells and these abilities, the potentials just start going up for how they can be used. I mean, if we go back to low level spells and we see some of the things, the difficulties, because limitations were not immediately put on things like light. I mean, can you cast a light spell on somebody's eyes? Can you blind the other player? Can you do a reverseness that's a darkness that is cast on someone's head? Are they going to be, it's like all of a sudden you take a spell that was meant to do one thing, but the potential for its use is something that will immediately occur to the players. Now, you take that in a high level game, and every time you've increased these powerful spells, it goes up and up and up. And the innovation from players can be awesome and totally unexpected. And it's like, oh my God. And that's like you're saying, like Carlos was saying, I designed this dungeon, but somebody has magical means to go right through the walls. Somebody can skip all my stuff,
Yeah. And
somebody can discover all my traps.
Well,
but
yeah.
there's the key, and I think there are a couple of aspects to this. One is that if it were the case that you could just use earthliness or cut through stone magic easy, no one would bother hiding themselves in a cave with rocks or building a castle. If you could just circumvent it or go through it, then you wouldn't have made all. So that's one aspect of it. So you need to have some sort of balance. And the other thing is that when you come up with the rule system and fill it with spells, the attacks and the offensive capabilities are obvious. Someone come up with, oh, I want to alter reality. So these spells and these effects, and that's what we want: the flash and the bang and the killing, causing damage, and alter things immediately. So the defensive side to it comes often as an afterthought. But I paid a lot of attention to it, meaning, okay, so there are castles and there are dungeons and there are spellcasters that can circumvent it, go through walls, and there are ghosts and undeads that are spirits and can just ease through. So why are there still castles and stuff? So I've invented magic and building techniques and stuff that can counter a lot of it, meaning there are defenses and stuff around it that the fantasy world have invented it just so there is a reason to still build a castle, and there is a reason to have a dungeon and put the walls in there, because you can actually protect yourself. So I try to balance it so the actual rules and the actual what's possible to do in the world will make castles and dungeons and dragons and all the stuff we see actually make sense, so to speak. But that requires a little bit of trickiness, and you have to think through a little bit. And as a DM, I think it's important that you do it to the extent so you get the gameplay you want and your players want. That's the key. Is there is no single solution that is right or whatever. It's what is right is what you and your players like, so to speak, and that needs to make sense for you guys. That's the important bit.
That's why I have the no just no emote that I just put up.
Yeah, that's
And-
important too. Yeah.
Yeah, and the DM's crushing fist. I call it Tim's probably. I call it Tim and Allen abuse. So, like, you take they'll take something like a arrow of direction and throw it up 100 times in a day, and it drives me up. He throws it up. Oh, it landed on a rock and snapped in half. Isn't that a shame? That's what you got to do. I mean, it's just like anything else. Anything in moderation is fine. Anything abused is going to be countered with a DM's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like to have rather than just something that is like a game way to like you're saying, you throw it up and you break it. I'd like to have something that has a little more logical consistency to that overuse that's built right into the concept of the item or the spell, something that is a limitation that the players can accept, and then but it is very hard when the game mechanics aren't thought through and the abuse power is right there.
And one way around it in higher level play is not to make things always absolute, meaning things always either you succeed with a wish and everything becomes like you wished, or someone like whoop and nothing happens. You can, if you introduce a little bit of gradualness in some of the effects and stuff, then you can get it more into a kind of a little bit of a back and forth, and you can have partial successes and stuff. But it's a tricky thing, and something that I've seen a lot of game mechanics have really dealt with or tried to deal with over the years. So it's
I've had one player character in the entire campaign able to cast wish once, and I learned.
I do not allow wish.
I learned that's a bad spell.
Oh yeah, that's why I said it as an example, because it is one of the trickiest spells.
Yeah, wish is really a tricky spell. Absolutely.
No wish, No resurrection, no reincarnation.
Well, resurrection is a much more easy to deal with spell in a way, because in some ways, because it's more specific spell. At least it's only one aspect to deal with. I think one of the problems with wish and high level play is that wish is kind of open ended. You can wish for almost anything. And
I know.
Yeah.
It's
But you can twist it too.
oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You can't twist it. Yep.
but that's very unsatisfying.
It is.
I
It's
just
better off
think-
not to have it. I agree.
Yeah, I think it's better not to have that. And I at any point, I don't like the idea that players think that their characters, that death isn't death.
Right. Well,
So I don't like the resurrection or the reincarnation, and I don't like the gaminess, because we're talking about now.
we're
like
talking about
things-
mega adventuring too. We're not talking about high level. We're talking about mega level.
Oh, you
Well,
that's
yes,
an
I
interesting.
guess.
Now that was interesting. So you have
Yeah, we're not talking.
level above
That's 16th, 17th, 18th level casting.
Ah,
Well,
gotcha.
I've never,
Mhm.
I've
There
never
we
really
have it.
seen
Yep.
a difference. It's just
Really?
I understand that because I've never really gone up that far. I've never played.
Oh, so there is a
super
level above high. That was one of the questions. I
Yeah,
wanted
yeah,
to
absolutely.
Spare to
Oh,
the end
yeah,
of the
yeah.
show. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, because
Well-
go ahead, Jason.
Well, I was just going to say, by the kind of logic we've been doing, the every 4 level thing works, at least as far as the early editions. If you consider 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12,
Mhm, yeah.
and there you have high, and then 13
Yeah.
to 16 you have something above high, and
Yeah.
then 17 to 20. I mean,
That doesn't exist in 1E, really. Nothing
not
gets that
really.
high.
No.
No.
Well, like for example, I'm very involved in Gary Hollian's Spine Castle right now,
Mhm.
and one of the characters he has in the city as just a character is an 18th level magic user, and it was a 3 point something, I think 3.5 game. So I know some people said they didn't consider there to be a difference between the early editions and the third edition stuff as far as levels, and I always thought it just seemed easier to get higher level in the later editions. And I just would like reduce that character in my version down to 10th level, because 18th level the guy's up at more than Kanan level.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But this comes the other interesting questions. Are the characters supposed to reach the highest possible levels? Meaning, are player characters supposed to be among the doers and biggest doers and shapers in the world? Meaning, should there be the deities, great dragons, demon lords, and others? Are characters supposed to reach that level? I guess that depends on how you want to run your campaign and what edition and stuff. But is that something? Yeah, that's something
My
I've always
idea
thought
was-
about. Yeah.
After 12th level, it becomes a war game.
Mhm.
And the characters, it's kind of like a diplomacy, if you're familiar with that game from Avalon Hill, or just a war game where you're no longer just a character, you're a ruler,
Mhm.
or you're
Yeah.
a force.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, that makes sense.
And at that point,
Yep.
you're not really just playing your character, you're playing your character running a fief, or
Mhm.
suddenly you're like Saruman with, you've developed your own little army and your center of power, and you're going to war. You're doing different things like that. Now, for me, the game, I really think that beyond 12th level, the game has to change into it's no longer just adventuring. You're so powerful in and of yourself, that it's just, it's a different game from the old Dungeons and Dragons. We go after bandits, we go into a dungeon, we go exploring, we go aid a village. By 13th level, you're mega powerful, even in first
I'll
edition.
give you an example. So the adventure we just finished up with the Fire Giants, the Portal Master, was SM Mining Interest Limited, which is Schlemmen Meal, which is one of Walt's characters. The character actually predates my campaign. He had the character before. The character's 42 to 45 years old. The character's 13th level. Right? That's where the character has kind of ended up at 13th, with all these interests in Altamira, his own mining corporation kind, you know what I mean? He still does some active things with Order of Yule occasionally, but there he is. He's not out adventuring every night. you know, and that's just that's what it has to go. I think. Good. It's a good point. Definitely.
And that's, of course, these adventures that we start dealing with, even between the the 9th and 12th level from the old editions, they're much more powerful characters. I mean, they have such, well, like I told you, I've written a book about G1, and the characters, there's 9 characters fighting the giants, and these are gigantic, powerful creatures, and yet, how do you have it when a human character could easily take on a single giant in personal combat? It seems ridiculous,
They're
but
heroes.
yeah.
Yeah. Part of the game of fantasy.
Well,
Oh, yeah.
if you've seen that movie Troy,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
where they have Achilles.
I love
And-
how they did combat in that movie. It's awesome, especially the original scene when he steps forward and he kills him by sheer elegance, so to speak.
Yes, one
It's
sword
fantastic.
thrust,
Yeah.
and yet
it's-
it didn't seem unbelievable. It was like quickness.
No,
and
that was
agility.
so well done, and it was just like how I want to see fantasy combat. Meaning, you could be skillful or you can be brutally big and strong, and both approaches can be very successful, so to speak.
And that was high level versus mid level. Here's a powerful mid level fighter.
Mhm.
Here is a super high level fighter. They
Mhm.
get into a
Yep.
fight and kaboom. It's just, and
Mhm.
that was a wonderful example of Troy's a wonderful example of Dungeons and Dragons fighting.
Definitely.
Oh yeah.
So
Yep.
true. All right, so we had some questions about some modules. Let's get back to
Okay.
that.
Yep. Mhm.
Stolok asks, "How's Veil of the Mage?" Well, if
Disappointing.
yes, disappointing. Disappointing in one way, but not in another way.
Got a great cover art. But
Great cover art, great character, Tizzle and Sand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Great
Mhm.
map of the Veil of the
Yeah,
Mage
I love that.
within.
That's one of the best cover arts, I think, in TSR history in many ways.
It is fantastic.
Yep.
Great. So great to documenting
That's an
it.
interesting map too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of the most detailed maps in many ways. That Veil of the Mage has one of the highest production values of any module ever produced by TSR.
Right. It's more of a campaign setting than a
Exactly.
module.
It's a mini setting. Yep.
Yeah.
and it has some good ideas in it.
Right.
Well, whether you like it or not, I'm just saying production values, meaning you had a wonderfully large printing and the image on the cover image, etc. It's fantastic. But yeah.
So there's villages in here, and you got to figure out how to get into the Vale first. And there's this marauding group of necromancers, which I like, running through here, causing trouble. Kind of doesn't make much sense, but that's what.
No, that's my problem with that module.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense, but in many ways it's super cool without making much sense.
Exactly. So if you want a detailed map and you want detailed information on what actually is going on here, even though the head mage is really is Jaren Crimea isn't really around during the adventure. It's just the way. Okay, it is what it is. It's okay overall, but it gives you some good information. Speaking of that, let's talk about this. I was so disappointed by these 3 modules that I redid the story ending in the fundraiser. What's that, Jason?
Yeah, those modules. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So we all know what I'm talking about. The Falcon series. I first off, I don't like they kill off the circle. This is pre-wars. So the circle gets killed over and over again, right? And that's the necromancers. Yes, Mike. Absolutely in that one. It takes 3 modules to build this thing up to. Okay, this is this. Gosh, what is she? Oh my God. Snake woman thing. Oh my! See now, look, I'm getting old here. No, she's a Naga. She's a Naga priestess,
Naga. Okay,
a
yes,
mage
Naga.
and a priestess of Ayus, and she's got, and she, it's just okay. But so we kind of tweaked it, and then we said, let's redo a whole storyline, and she comes back in our fundraiser, and that went great. Everyone had great stories. That was awesome. So these are thank you everyone. Yes, my brain turned off there for a second. So getting these, get them for the details of the city inside and some storylines of what's going on in the city of Greyhawk. You want to run them, run them. They were not my favorites, but that's why we did the change. What do you think, Jason?
Oh, well, they were a lot of reasons I didn't like them. I'm not a big fan of that version of the city. I didn't like that they had burnt out the old city, the burn during that, and just the modules themselves. I just found the storyline to be, I don't know, it reminded me more of something from Dragonlance than from Greyhawk.
Good point. That was really that's good. That's really good. And that's hence why I did what I did with the fundraiser last year. Now the next one up here, Return of the Eight. It's on my wall of fame. I love Return of the Eight. I was so upset when they killed Tensor off. I could care less about Luke really, but okay, but they killed Tensor off. They killed Tensor off permanently, and when this came out, I loved that you could go and get him back, and you fought Tyranny the Merciless. I love that. I didn't like the way they just said, okay, here's the new circle with these 3 new wizards. But it was, Carlos and I had this discussion before. Hey, it was time to make a change. Great.
I didn't like the names. I seriously did not like the new names.
Yeah, it's like, but the adventure's great. This one I've never run, Rary the Trader.
Well, now that's just, that's a campaign change.
That's another one I like for the same reason I like Veil of the Mage, because it details an area of Greyhawk.
Yes, it does.
To a large extent.
Another map, guys.
Exactly. So even if you don't like the story, you can adapt a lot of the setting, the places, the locations, and the people, and then write your own story about it.
Yeah, this is a nice sized map in this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
again, it's one of the best ones when it comes to production value, and to me it's up there, not in the class of Marklands or even the Undying, but or I use the Evil, but it's not far from it. It has a lot of it's a bit smaller in scope than the other modules, but it tells a lot of interesting information about one area of Greyhawk. So that way it's worth its salt. But the stories, but you know me, everyone who's watched Legends and Lore now for more than a couple of episodes know me, and modules don't really compete together. But
but not as modules, but you like them for source material.
Exactly, I do, and I've covered them, and that means that the Rary the Trader is one of the really good ones from my perspective. Yes.
Okay.
See, that's for me. That's that's kind of the same thing. That like I've said, I'm not a big high level adventurer, but I read almost everything. And I steal ideas from all over the place, even high level. But for Greyhawk lore, I especially look for material. And whether I agree with things or not, it's all part of the lore. So I try to make notes of everything. So anything that's come out Greyhawk that I've gotten my hands on, I've read, and usually 2-3 times and indexed it. But whether I've found anything particularly worthwhile out of it, I try to squeeze this stuff and get every drop of blood out of it I can. But as far as running adventures, I don't run adventures the way that written adventures are, because the players just are not that static. They will always do something unexpected. So I've always run adventures as a sandbox. I just can't trap my players into certain conformity within the pages of a written adventure.
Once again, a style, which is great, Jason. I'll say this. Me being a tabletop mini DM and streaming my content, it's tough to sandbox. Man, it's got to be. I consider the mind play a lot easier.
Well, you've got physical parameters. I don't.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the styles of every other DM out there in the world. It makes it what I love about the game so much is that everyone has a little nuance and tweak that's different. Every game is different. And that is what is so awesome about it. All right, so let's keep on rolling here. So we
Well,
can,
let me,
Go
I
for
did say earlier I don't run a lot of high level adventures, but there's one, and you flashed it up there a couple times. I especially, and this is one that people I know absolutely
Go for it.
hate, but it's one I love, is Expedition to the Barrier Peaks.
Okay, yeah, it's
All
up
right.
here, and there's a reason for it because it's in this discussion. So let's have at it. 8 to 12.
Yes, it is the definition practically of high level for us.
Yep.
And for me, it has got to be one of it in the past has been one of my favorite adventures. And the campaign I'm working on now, it is key. It is key to this futuristic combination of fantasy, Lovecraft, and science fiction
It fits right in
that
here.
I'm working on for my Greyhawk.
It fits
And
right
I
in
just
there.
I mean, there's just so much to like about this. I don't know. I think maybe the Errol Otis work was part of one of the things that hooked me on it. And just the whimsy in a lot of the things, like running into the various physical training androids.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And like having the one that was the boxer beating up the players, and the bunny rabbit on the stump.
Oh, wolf
I
in
mean,
sheep's clothing, man. Come on.
yes, I mean, I don't care. And honestly, there's an old saying that if any science fiction that is beyond your understanding is no different from magic, and that's just the way you play it. And honestly, anything that has blasters and stuff, we don't have blasters. People are just imagining what a blaster would be like. It's fantasy. It's magic. It's it's just Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers. It is really no different. It's the way that Star Wars is, at least the originals were a fantasy.
It is great with monsters. The Froghemoth is in here. One of the best monsters.
And the Vegapygmies are in there.
Vegapygmies are like the Lossels of the plant world.
Well, like I've worked on a return to the steading of the Hill Giant Chief, and the steading is all moldering, and it's filled with Vegapygmies. I love Vegapygmies. This module, it was nice. It had the booklets, the map. The illustrations just won me over.
Oh, yeah, because you had the numbers.
I mean, the map's boring. The map is a cylinder.
Right.
You remember, this is the whole section of the ship is nothing but cylindrical rings.
Yep.
And that's kind of funny, because that is actually a design taken from Traveller, because Traveller had a ship that was exactly that shape. So they it almost like someone played Traveller and took that ship and put it in Greyhawk. The time wise it also matches. But to me it's kind of interesting, because this, when I see the expedition of the Barrier Peaks, to me it just shows me my psychological limitations in my creativity and my thinking, because I have an aversion to anything magic or like anything sci-fi in my
sci-fi
fantasy.
magic.
But the funny thing is that when someone say, oh, there's an android, and they talk about robots with blasters and stuff, I get, no, not in my campaign. But I realized that an iron golem, that's just an android robot described in fantasy terms, and then I have no problem with it. So just if I would play Barrier Peak, no one would told me it's Barrier Peak, and they will say, oh, there's some iron golem coming, and then they're shooting like magic missiles, and I would be like, okay. So I'm just oversensitive to putting other genres in there. Just present it to me in fantasy terms, and hide the fact that you're talking about, and you will fool me. So yeah,
exactly. That whole, you should never in that game tell the players that anything isn't what they wouldn't expect it to be as a fantasy thing.
Yeah,
there are no blasters. This is this bizarre thing. You pick it up and it's like it's a wand of lightning bolts, an oddly shaped one, or it's these are iron golems. They're made of metal. They work, but they're strangely supple and in human shape. You can depict that they're strange versions of fantasy items, but they're fantasy items because, like we talk about the physics, they are just part of the physics of this fantasy world. But there's no way that the android is a meaningless term to the people in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never use the term android in my games at all, so to speak. It's a humanoid, period.
I just love like the picture where they're throwing the
Out the
adventurers and the bullet out the back door of
yeah, the trash crew.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely I mean, Gamma World was big back then too, and they were crossing over some
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And hey, whatever,
But all these powerful weapons, all the technology you take away from the ship needs the ship to be powered.
yeah, and
So
you
you
can't
run
use it.
out of everything. Everything becomes useless when you're away from the ship.
Absolutely.
So I can say I don't like the expedition to the barrier peak, not because it's bad, it's just because it proves to me my psychological limitations in this, and that's probably it. It's a sensitive topic for me. Yeah.
All right, so I am going to put one up here, and Vecna lives, okay, and then I am going
Yeah.
to run out. I'm going to run out for 10 to 30 seconds into the. All right, I'll be right back. If you understand what I'm
Okay.
saying there.
Yeah.
Okay, be
Well,
right back.
Jason, Jason, you
talk
start,
about that.
and Vecna lives here. That's
Well, Vecna lives. My God, I hated that module.
Okay.
Well,
Why is that?
the beginning of it, the first thing it does is kill off the Circle of 8.
Okay. Yeah.
And that to me, and I was never a big Vecna person, So to me, that was just a hallmark of what they were doing against, the old guard being kind of spat on by the new corporation.
Yeah, they wanted to kill off a lot of the old stuff, so there will be no Gary connections anymore. They wanted to, yeah.
And I mean, it was quality of design too, because I'm a hobbyist, and I believe in hobbyists more than professional publication. I understand like your mapping, your mapping is at a professional level, and not only a professional level, it's a profession. But a lot of this design became corporate design.
When it's done just for the money rather than for the passion, then it's kind of, yeah. When I'm getting what you're getting at, and I'm afraid of ending up in that pit too.
I'm not afraid about you losing your passion for mapping. I just think, unfortunately, it's a rare combination, and that the unfortunate thing is you get too many people who are, and too many people in charge who are a corporate entity that are trying to do something through a systematic approach. I mean, honestly, if things were very easy, we could program computers to create great music or to create great adventures. But it's not formulaic. There's a touch of this. It's either a touch of magical inspiration or just the fact that we have not equated the complexities of the human imagination to what we can put into a systematic approach. There's always this thing that the human imagination is always seems to be able to plumb to deeper depths or grow to greater horizons than you can come up with a systematic thing, because we're adapting to changing circumstances, whereas a systematic approach is stuck with a formula. And there's just been no way. And what I see is that the greatest stuff that we talk about within our hobby seems to have come when the people involved were still hobbyists becoming a corporate entity. And then it went downhill, becoming a corporate entity, getting rid of the hobbyists and becoming nothing but a corporation. And where the goals are they going to make money from stuff rather than are we going to create something cool? Are we going to, really how can we be passionate about it when we have to go to the demands of all these demands that are beyond our taste for what makes something innovative, or there's just so much more freedom as a hobbyist than you have as somebody working for a corporation. So I don't ever look at it as a bad thing that Greyhawk's been abandoned by the corporations. I think it's a wonderful thing that the people who love the game have kept it so alive and have developed it so much on their own.
And once
Jason,
again, go ahead, Anna.
internet gods are with you tonight. That was the longest you ever been. Fantastic. Yeah.
That's good.
Yes,
Yeah.
my connection's very strange tonight.
Yeah.
So, once again, we have a lot of more people watching now. I sent a letter to WotC about Virtual Greyhawk Con and using the name because I did the right thing. Instead of starting trouble, I'm not going to be a troublemaker, and we'll see what happens. But if we got to change the name, we got to change the name. If we keep it the same. I talked to someone who works for WotC, who used to be in the LG Triad. He said he doesn't think it's a problem because there's no money being it's not for profit. So we'll see.
Okay.
So we'll see on that. All right. So let's get to a couple other ones here. I want to get to some third party ones too.
But that was my objection to Vecna Lives, was that to me, it was a corporate module and not a module that was developed for just reasons that it was a cool adventure.
I agree on that, definitely. And Phantom, I think, agrees in chat as well. He said the exact same thing in a different little way, but he agrees with you on that. It was built to make their lives a little bit easier. This one, Dark Clouds Gather. I love this adventure. I ran it one time, and I'm going to tell you why. And Skageth, if you're still on, you're going to love the story. Alan had a character, a monk, a 7th level monk named Constance. And one of these flying monkey things critical hit her and ripped her head off and decapitated her. So, and that was the end of that character. And he so I decapitated the Batoon. That's it, Phantom. That's it, the Batoon. Yes. So I recommend this module to anyone because of that instance that I decapitated a monk character and permanently killed her off with this adventure. There you go. It's level 7 to 9, so it's on the low level of the high level, but yes. Yes. Yeah, you like that one? I thought you'd like that story. I had to get that one in. I didn't put this one up on this because I don't know if it's in Greyhawk or not.
Yes, it is.
Day of Al-Akbar. Where is it?
Oh, well, yeah, it's
it's set in west of the Crystal Mist in I'm
the
having
dry
my
steppes? Paynhams.
Yeah, Paynims, the eastern on the western slopes of the Crystal Mists, southeast of Ul.
Okay, okay.
See, the Greyhawk link goes all the way back to where we were talking about artifacts.
Yep.
The Cup and Talisman of Al-Akbar is in the DMG, and it specifically states that it is a there are Greyhawk references in that entry.
Yeah, so the Sultanate of Arir is I put it on my map, so it's there.
I mean, look at this city map.
Now I-9 comes out, and there are no. It doesn't say it's Greyhawk, but because it is a Greyhawk item, then you can just extrapolate and say, well, look, this is the Backlunish West. We don't know anything about it anyway.
Yep.
So how can we say that this isn't Greyhawk? So it might as well be.
And it's only 50 miles from Sterik, but there's the peak of Crystal Mists in between, so it's hard to get across.
That's why I didn't have it in the scroller. I wanted to know. Okay, good to know that that's another one you can place in there. It's levels 8 to 10. All right, we went through Carlos's. I'm not going to go over Isle of the Ape and Morty Kane's Fantastic Adventure again.
What's the name and the number?
Al-Akbar is I-9.
I-9.
Oh, you should go over Isle of the Ape. That is such a stupid module.
No.
I mean, what are you, like level 100 in that one?
Oh my gosh. This is the adventure where you freaking you get the Crook of Ral that they need to banish all the demons.
Yeah, well, they should have the demons in the first place, though.
Yeah, true. Another here. The Isle of the Ape map is pretty cool too. So that's well done.
I like the Isle of the Ape concept. If they had just stolen from King Kong, I would have been happy. But they had to make you 100th level.
Well, I guess they had to tweak it a bit. Yeah.
So you actually go to the Isle of the Ape for about 10 seconds in the thing I'm holding in my hand now. And I saw a post going through Facebook about this. And I wanted to talk about this because I didn't realize this. And that is this adventure, Expedition to the Ruins of Greyhawk is 3.5 by Eric Mona.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I thought you were going to talk about Dark Tower.
No, no, the cabin. No, I'm going to after this. So This is the last piece of published source material that exists.
Mhm.
No. It was. Ghost of Saltmarsh is now the last piece.
That's true. Yeah. But up until Ghost of Saltmarsh, yes.
Okay.
But Ghost of Saltmarsh is
Time
not
frame.
an original thing. It's a rehash of old
Yeah,
stuff.
No. It contains 32 pages of original material.
Right, but
okay.
time-wise, time frame, 598
That's true. Yes.
time
Yeah.
frame.
It is.
I'm talking.
All right.
Yep.
All right. If
Yep.
you
Yeah,
follow,
it's the furthest out.
chronology,
Yep.
chronologically,
Yes,
which I
that-
don't.
yeah,
but,
yeah, that's what I meant, because Rigby
Mhm.
dies in it and all. I liked it because you get a bird's eye view of the ruins of Greyhawk, and you don't have to go through.
Yeah. I
100
need
levels.
to read that one for through.
You free some
Yeah.
gods in it.
Yeah.
You stop an Ayu's army in it. You deal with a clone of Egwolf. You deal with Vane again. He's always a pain in the ass. And there's some other fun things. And I tied in a new first level group, helping out a high level group in this in Greyhawk. So we had a lot of fun with that.
Yeah.
And I give it a B plus, which for older content Greyhawk, that's saying something to me. Give it a B plus there.
Yeah.
So
Now here's something that's interesting. That since I've been dealing a lot with Spine Castle, and Spine Castle's 595. One thing we didn't that we've come to realize was that orcs and gnolls only live 40 years. So by 598, if you had orcs and gnolls characters from 576, chances are most of them are dead.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, unless there's some magical longevity happening to them, they have such a short life expectancy that it's 22 years added on to whatever age they were to begin with.
Yeah.
And most of these orcs and gnolls,
they don't make it past 40. So
yeah, that's their old age. That was their, that was their human 76, 80 years.
Mhm.
It's 40 years for orcs and gnolls. So
generational.
We didn't, because you don't really think about aging too much, but all of these characters, if you're going to do this chronological Greyhawk and you've got it at 598, then you're going to take your 576 characters and age them 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, or you can do what I did and you move it.
Well, your characters, oh my God, their great grandchildren are playing now.
Well, no, not great, just grand. Okay, so yes, not great yet. It's close.
Yeah,
you're absolutely correct there, Jason. In that case, but I'll say this. An event, wherever you start, you don't have to, you start with new young character. If you're starting a new campaign, you're starting 598, you're going to start with brand new characters, right? When you start aging things and moving them forward in published source, that's when you run into trouble, right? Because if you're like, say you're adventuring and you've adventured for 2 years, and then you want to incorporate all the From the Ashes stuff in, but you haven't. Now, do you push the timeline forward? What do you do? Right? That's the dilemma you run into if you want to start incorporating certain published source information.
Exactly.
So
that's something. Go on.
You have to figure out ahead of time where your campaign wants to be. Like I got lucky, right? Just because when I got to a point and I said I don't like all this From the Ashes. I'm past this time frame, but I'm going to incorporate some of it. I'm just going to say it happened at a later date. I mean, you just got to do what you got to do. But I can see where a 576, Jason, you're like you and like Leonard Lakofka, you haven't moved on 576 that much, ever, right? Because of that. Oh, Jason's gone.
I was gone. Yeah.
Now he's back.
I missed everything you said.
Okay, but I can answer first. Then I've also had the luxury of running my campaign while this stuff came out, so to speak. And what I did was that in the beginning I tried to slavingly follow it. So when From the Ashes came the whole world erupted into this war, and I tried to follow it and kind of make my own little parts of it, so to speak, and follow the story. And then Living Greyhawk came, and I realized that now there's so much going on everywhere that I have no clue of. So I just started running my own stuff. But then a lot of the summaries came out, and the Living Greyhawk journal and stuff. So I kind of, and then when I'm mapping research, so then I started incorporating at least the superficial, the story that came in Living Greyhawk Gazetteer, so to speak. So that became my new normal. But now I'm happy and hope really that they will not come up with anything else. So in that way, I'm glad. And even if they do, I will not change. So now I have my situation in my campaign world that I will use for my next campaign and for the campaign. But it's really cool to have it. So now the cool thing is when I discovered old stuff that I forgot, now I never read about that, and so on, then I can simply say, okay, that was something that happened 20, 30 years ago, and now I can kind of come up with what happened afterwards. And to me, that is a lot of fun, to take an old famous location and realize that, okay, that was 25, 28 years ago, and then that happened there. What happened afterwards? Is it just abandoned ruin, or if something else happened? So to me, that's really the essence of fun being a DM, is to take that stuff and use it as a base for my own creativity and introduce it in. For that is what a lot of the most fun stuff comes from me, is to find this kind of a gem of an old adventure and realize that, okay, 576 or 572 or whatever it was back in the day, that happened there, and it was like, oh yes, now. And also then I have to come up with my own conclusion. Were the adventure is successful, and did they solve the adventure, and whoever did, and then what happened afterwards? That's very rewarding for me.
Awesome.
And like for me, the only thing I've ever really incorporated into it in the kind of the post Gygaxian timeline stuff was some of when they came out with the that Against the Giants that supposedly takes place after the giant invasion. I started to try to incorporate that into some different things that I was writing. But for the most part, unlike you, I did not run one game. I had my grade school year campaign, and then my college year, and then when I went back to college, and then, and then it was like every 5 or 10 years I'd be running a different campaign. But right now I'm at 579. So I look at like Gary Hollian's 595 Spine Castle, and for me it's the 579 Spine Castle, and I can alter almost everything he used to 579 very easily. But mainly because Spine Castle's set up there in the north, and it predates the Greyhawk Wars.
That's what I would do. Yeah, absolutely, Jason. Great idea. Just to
but then again, I loathe the Greyhawk Wars. I didn't care for the City of Greyhawk box set like you did. I loathe the Greyhawk Wars. I hate Sargent. I hate his overall design. Sargent I loved when he was a Games Workshop adventurer writer. I liked his Night Below adventures. And so I guess I like Sargent's adventures and hate his campaign.
Yeah.
And I didn't like Moore. And what Eric and Gary did, they had to stuff so much stuff into their one book that it's really pretty much just a book of information. I mean, there's a lot of character to it, but
you mean the Living Greyhawk Gazetteer?
Yes, I mean, they had to put into that one book everything that Sargent did in how many supplements, including Ivid. They had to compile everything down into one book. And as it is, I think that they had a lot of material cut out in editing.
Oh, I imagine so.
And, from what I've heard, and, it is it's pretty much getting back to a bare bones reference. It's a lot of names, a little more history filled in, but it's not objectionable the way that I found Greyhawk Wars objectionable.
All right,
But
well,
one of the interesting things is that I can find some things that I don't like Carl Sargent killed off the Horn Society is one of my
Oh,
biggest
yeah,
caveats. But
yeah.
actually, now I kind of like to have the challenge when I find published content that I don't like what they did with it, and still use it as a base for my game, because that forces me to think in new terms and try to see what I can come up with it. So it actually, I like to be challenged. I don't like it at the beginning, but once I can incorporate it and make something for me useful out of the end, so to speak. So it's a challenge that I think a lot of you the people out there who want to run games don't always look at just the things that you love from at first sight. Try and see what you can do with the ugly bits too, because
I agree.
a lot of campaigns can actually be better if you try to tweak and so on, because then you feel like, oh, I've done some awesome handiwork, and I've incorporated things I didn't like to begin with, so to speak, and make it into your own, so to speak, for your own campaign. So to take in the odd things and work with things you don't like initially can be very rewarding down the line.
Yeah, well, like I loathed what Gygax did in his books, but I loved the way he had described these various areas. And talking about high level, the Gord books jump up
Oh
very
yeah,
quickly
they
to high.
immensely. They're deity level at the end, so to speak, and Gord is like some sort of quasi deity or hero deity at the end. So yeah.
And while the two last books are not good as far as Greyhawk campaign specific references, they're okay, but they are incredible for the demonic realms, the devilish realms, the hells. They're just fantastic.
I really should read them.
Oh yeah, you definitely need to read them, and I haven't taken much of the story at all, and the Cat Lord and a lot of the essentials of that book. When it comes to the story, I haven't used, but I've taken enormous amount of inspiration from it, and again, the way he describes the demonic court of Gerast and others, oh, it is awesome.
Cool. All right, let's
Like,
get. You okay if we get back here on the? We got about 15 minutes, so we haven't
Yeah.
gone
Oh,
third
okay,
party
yeah.
stuff yet. So
Definitely.
all right, cool. So Dark Tower, I got it up here. I found something. I found my Dark Tower notes from the original time I ran it.
wow,
You can,
that's so long ago.
yeah, you can create some. There's a in this adventure, which a lot of people don't do, is it tells you how to make Sons of Set up. And Sons of Set can have varying abilities and multiple arms and all crazy sorts of stuff.
Oh yeah, that module is just, see,
Yep.
the Dark Tower module is more in the way that it's so good, and
Yes,
it's such a good open adventure,
yes.
and it has such deep possibilities in it. It is, I'd say, the best non-TSR adventure, and it's one of the best adventures ever written.
I agree. It's on my Wall of Fame. It's one of 3 non-published TSR modules on my Wall of Fame, and it is brilliant. And I have the 3.3 third edition module, the D20 one, because the green one's on my, in the, what do you call it, on the wall. So here's
Yeah.
here's the 3.5 version. But I found this looking for something else, of course, because you never find what you're looking for. I was like, oh my God, look at all these. And Heffrung Hell Eyes is in here, written up, all that. And I always loved the way you had to go all the way down to the bottom to get into the tower and then go all the way back up to the top of the tower. And that was a long, long just trek. Multiple settings, sessions, and so ever run Paladin in Hell? I have not. Stolok, that's one I have not run. So
Well, that's so funny, because I ran inspired by the illustration. I ran a high level adventure based on Gygax's novel set in the demonic realms, where 5 20th level paladins had to go and try to retrieve an artifact of good that was taken into the depths of these hellish realms, and they had to basically fight their way through. and they're constantly like these beacons. It was a convention tournament. And it was this grueling battle with these 20th level paladins.
Written up by yourself, and
Oh, yeah,
it's funny
so
how
I
stuff parallels real publishings. You know what I mean? Sometimes, yeah, definitely.
It was probably a horrible adventure. I think I was 16 when I wrote
That's
it.
okay, man. The Monty Hall days, everyone did that.
Oh yes,
520th
exactly.
level paladins, yeah, come on.
We always had
we
had
all-
those times when when
Yeah, we all did
things
that.
went overboard. Yep.
All right, this next one, Fortress Ellendar. It's on my wall of fame. Tim got me on this one. Gazumba himself ran through this, Hawking Gazumba back in the day, and love this thing. It's third party. It's not even a D&D.
No, it's
in high,
Dillos, yeah.
high fantasy adventure. Anna won't like it because there's actually a magical cannon outside which shoots big at you. Panoy archers, crazy monsters, and crazy magic items that we have in this game to this day, like the Shield of Prey, Prometheus Clay, all sorts of really cool things that are taken from this. If you can get a hold of this, I would recommend checking it out. I have it. It's on Anna's map in my campaign on the far east of the Shieldlands. Remember, I was like, oh, we got to put Fortress Ellendar back in, and that's right south of White Plume Mountain is where it is. So another one that I would consider.
You know, all the high fantasy, all the Dillo stuff's great for ideas.
Absolutely, Jason. Agree 100%.
In the back of his original rule book is this solo game that you play. His combat system is very Tunnels and Trolls like.
Yeah.
And it suffers some of the same problems where you reach a point where you can't lose or you can't win. You know, it's just there's a flaw. The system's basically flawed. The same way that I think in Melee, from you remember the little micro games, fantasy.
Yeah.
They had a bad combat system.
Car Wars.
Yeah, I don't remember. I never
that was
did.
Our micro one too to start off. Steve Jackson.
Yeah.
But you know what? This one you have to convert over to whatever rule set you're using, but it's not that hard to do. It really isn't.
And you know, it's like I was pointing out last time about the mid-level ones, the SPI game system that TSR bought called Dragon Quest.
Yep.
They had some great modules, good ideas, terrible game system, really bad game system. I mean, there's been some horrendous one, especially from wargaming companies like Powers and Perils. There's some very bad game systems, but the modules are very convertible. I finally got my hands on this one that you're showing right there.
Harbinger of Darkness. Now, where we found this, you're going to like this story, Jason. When you used to be able to go to the armory in Baltimore, and you used to be able to go through their warehouse, and they just let you run through there and pick whatever you want. I found this in a pile of modules. I was like, oh my gosh, I never heard of this Underworld Publishing. So it came out for first edition. And there's a necromancer in it, and he looks like the freaking Undertaker. Right? Picture him.
Yes, pro wrestling.
Yeah, but there's some great monsters in here, and there's also one of the things that happened. Greatest things of all time was not Bill, but our other crazy friend Bill. He had the female character with the dwarven thrower, and they're around this pit that a purple worm comes out, and she threw it at it and missed. She fumbled, and it hit. And she rolled, and her dwarven thrower broke. All right. So what does Bill's character do? Dives head first into the pit, never to be seen again. So we always say that Arabella is still falling in that pit to this day. Okay, so yes, that's what you get sometimes with, and the irony of it at the end of the adventure, there's a new dwarven thrower with more powers, but she didn't stick around for that. So yeah, I love this one. It's on my wall of fame. It's the third one. It's level 7 to 9. Lestrian has it now too. Are you still seeking this one? All right, so Jason, you got a hold of this one. What do you think of it? You like it?
No, I haven't had a chance to. I just got it. I just got it a couple of weeks ago.
Cool, man. Cool. I recommend it highly. So definitely. So cool. Maybe you'll like that one. All right. Necromancer Games, right?
Well, you've got, a lot of classics there with Necromancer.
Dweebelix is on the cover, so you realize you're in for a tough time in this one, guys. Chaos Rising. The Iron Brigade ran this one. It is high level. It is nasty. It says 4 to 6 characters of 12th level and above. They ain't
Wow.
kidding. This is tough. It's long, but yeah, Jubilix is actually in this module. So
Wow.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. I love all the Necromancer game stuff. That's why I'm trying to get Bill Webb on the show. I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to get them still. We'll see. Maybe I know they had something going on today, Jason.
I
they-
missed it. Yeah,
yeah,
that you know they have their Discord channel and they run a pretty busy schedule there. So
I would love to get him on the show for that. So these are all running my Greyhawk guys. This one, the Diamond Fortress. I like this one. I don't know where it is, but there's a tower appears and frost. It gets cold around it and it goes out and out. It creeps out and out and out. You have to stop it. This was a pretty neat one. I as well. The Legion did this one. I actually placed this in the northern Shieldlands, right in the middle of all the Ayus stuff going on. This thing shows up, and even the Ayus people don't know what's going on with it. We ran this pre-stream, so that was cool. Another one from them. Look it up. It's high level. It's pretty nasty, and it was a fun one to run through too. So another one to recommend. All right, Trouble at Durbanford. This had to go on the map, and I forgot. All right.
Oh, okay.
This is this is a campaign book.
oh yeah,
And
yeah,
used to be able to
hardcover.
get this for like $10 on eBay. I think it's gone up since then. But I ran this post the last time we did a Return to Elemental, a non-vampire Return to Elemental Evil deal. Okay, I placed it in Grand March, Durbanford, and had everything happen there. It's a long campaign, but it's fun. If you want to get addicted to drugs, you can in this one. They got all sorts of crazy stuff going on in this town. There's multiple side quests, like 10 of them. It's not linear. It took us a year to run this. So a year of our campaign lives was running this module here. So check that out. I'd say it's for level 7 up to 11 or 12. All right.
Now the Frog God guys, they were doing conversions of all these to what they do with what they call their Swords and Wizardry, which is basically old D&D. But also they
Right.
used to do it with Pathfinder, but now they're doing 5e. So
Right.
I don't know if they've done Dubenford yet, but they've done a lot of the modules that if you're into 5e, or you're looking for an easy Dungeons and Dragons conversion, the early stuff, which is easy enough to convert to AD&D. They have their Swords and Wizardry stuff. So, I don't know if they're going to go for Pathfinder 2, but they were doing a lot of, before there was 5e, they were doing Pathfinder.
And you know how you know something is good? You can't just open this and start running it. You got to know the information that's going on in here, what the whole plot is, to run it. You can't just open this up and say, I'm going to start running it. It took me multiple readings to figure out, oh my gosh, this whole thing's linked, and this is this and this is that, and I got it to make the storyline work, and that's a good campaign series right there. All right, cool one.
Now that they are working on Gary Gygax's Necropolis
Well, cool.
for a 5e conversion.
That would be cool. Because that didn't, in the time frame, it didn't get the attention it deserved back then, at all.
No, and it came out both with Dangerous Journeys and with Necromancer.
Yeah, absolutely. There's some valuable books now too, man. All right, these are two I wanted to throw in Goodman Games because we had the little spiff back.
Okay.
This is a series. It's I ran these a long time ago. This is the Blackguard's Revenge. So
I actually wrote a review about that.
Did you really?
Yeah, I think it's on my blog. One of my early things, I was reviewing the DCC modules.
Wow, cool. And then it's sequel, Iron Crypt of the Heretics.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, those are good modules.
Definitely good modules. I believe I put these in the Ket area. Okay,
They're 3 stuff, so
yeah, it was
you have
3
to
at
do
the
a
time.
conversion. So, but
Absolutely.
That is a good modules. Both of them are good modules.
Excellent. So there you go. If Jason says they're good, then you know that. Whoops, look at that. I got stuff, and plus I got great. They got your picture things that you love so much, Jason. Like here, like players handout A. So,
well, one of the things I always liked about DCC was that back when they were doing their 3E stuff, is when you open the book, they give you a listing of all of the monsters and NPCs, a rundown of them. Like right by the table of contents, there's a rundown of all the monsters and NPCs right at the beginning of the book, so you can then have a nice reference list. And I always loved that about their adventures.
Yeah, and there's a lot more of Goodman game ones that are decent, but I wanted to highlight these two because these were like tops. Okay,
they are, yeah,
definitely. All right, I haven't run this one yet, and that's why I brought this up. I'm saving this because it's a little bit. The Conqueror Worm. I actually have Advanced Adventures are only PDF only, but I have this one, and it's for levels 10 to 14. I eventually will get to it. Yeah, you can see that I just scanned my own copies. You can see the fold there. I forget where I got it. I think I got this. You know where I got this? Complete Strategist in King of Prussia, Jason. I think I got it at half price. Yeah, I think I got it for like $3 or something. But yeah, I love these high level adventures I can throw in for 1 or 2 shots. I don't have to think much, make some minor changes, right, Anna? Sometimes you gotta, your brain is fried. So yeah, that's another one I'm looking forward to that I haven't run yet. So you could definitely get that in PDF on drive-through as well. All right, I ran this one just recently. I liked it so much that Anna and I put it on the map. The Thornwall Abbey is now on our map. Here, let me just pop this over and show you what some changes we made real quick to the main map here. That's Hamlet.
To your campaign map.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, here you go. Here's Altamira. If you look to the west, you see Hearthguard Tower, which was the adventure we did Thursday night, and then there you can see Thornwall Abbey is now added in on the location so that I'm starting to build up some locations of some key things that we've done. So it actually made the cut for me in my campaign because we may have to go back there in the future for what's going on in the campaign itself. So I wanted to add that in. So thanks to Anna, it's on the map now. Another great adventure by oh my gosh, Creation's Edge Games. They're the $1.50 ones. So, and that's levels 9 to 11. Really cool idea with the weapon, and it's a Warhammer. It's neat. All right, this is Frog God Games. Okay, I've used this is the only one I've run. Ice Tower of the Salka. It's third. I think it's 3rd edition as well, and I had to convert it back, or is it old school? It's called the Saturday Night Special. It's funny. I have a stream night called that, but they have a bunch of them. If you can find them, sometimes they're hard to find, but yeah, they're in hard copy and PDF. You can get them on PDF definitely from their site, but this one was good. This is another one I placed somewhere in the Lord Mill Mountains. I forget where, so I just figured I don't need to put that on the map. It wasn't of super importance, but it was a good adventure. It's kind of like there's a glacier, or there's this magical. This tower is magically concealed in ice, and part of it has been exposed. Now you can get into it. Kind of cool. So that's another one. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Seeker. So if I'm at least I know what I'm talking about sometimes, as far as good stuff. So that's a lot to go through, and we missed some classic modules too. But there's a ton of them out there for Greyhawk, and it's not hard to convert stuff into Greyhawk and place it. So, Anna, is there any that you'd ever run, you think?
Well, not a lot of that. The only reason I know some of these modules is that you talked about them before, and when we redid your map, you talked about them again. So it's cool to see that there's so many kind of adventures that are not really set in Greyhawk to begin with, but they're easy to incorporate in, and that kind of follows the rule, because some of the original modules that we think of as Greyhawk were actually shoehorned in because they were kind of convention modules, like Ghost Tower, Inverness, and a bunch of others.
Borderlands.
Yeah, exactly. Keep up Borderlands, and a bunch of them are not written to be Greyhawk. So yeah,
we didn't even talk about White Plume Mountain tonight, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But so hopefully, maybe we got your They were Swords and Wizardry, so that is 1E, 2E. Okay, yeah, the Swords and Wizardry is like a 1E, 2E version, and then Pathfinder's
Well,
3.5.
Yeah, Swords and Wizardry is actually
Yeah, thank you,
the
Secret.
old Little Brown books, the pre-Holmes basic stuff.
No, but no. Frog God has a Sword and Wizardry version that is 1E, 2E that's on Dragon's Foot, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah. So they published them in both 1E and 3.5, right? Pathfinder. So they did them in both, which is kind of cool.
It's just I'm saying they're when they say Swords and Wizardry, they mean
they mean
a
complete.
version of the old white box.
Oh, okay, okay.
Not
Cool.
not the blue box.
Oh, okay. So you mean the original basic?
Yeah,
okay.
the old, they call them the Little Brown books.
So they're making it. It's like BC, just basic Holmes, basic pre-Holmes.
It's pre-Holmes basic.
Wow.
Holmes basic is AD&D. I mean, it's a simplified levels 1 to 3, but you're basically using AD&D. The old version of Dungeons and Dragons are those little brown booklets, and they are a little different from what we know of as Dungeons and Dragons, because for one thing, like, there's all weapons do the same damage, and it's a simpler game.
So can someone do me a favor, and while we're finishing up here with announcements, and tell me what's going on the official Paizo channel, because I may raid into them.
I don't know what it's right. Oh yeah, please.
It's all right now. It says Pathfinder.
They just done PaizoCon, so I thought they were kind of over for.
It says official Paizo 108, so I was thinking maybe we'd raid into them.
Yeah, definitely do. Yeah.
All right, so guys, hopefully you got some benefit out of this, some nostalgia, or just seeing some of the options you can have, and then just to talk on direction and high level. Man, high level is mastering DMing high level is not easy.
It's hard.
It's hard to do.
Hard. Yep.
And maybe it's one of the reasons why we get to a point and we take our characters and they become, officers in the Order of Yolik, or they retire to other businesses and stuff, because you get to that point where you don't fight dragons every week. You don't fight, liches. It just, the game just gets to a point and it just gets tedious. Fights take hours, and that's not the fun of it.
Me, I'm looking to do a war game version. I picked up the Greyhawk Wars box set to see what I can make out of that. But, I'm looking to do that high level, but doing it as, you control nations or forces, and not the normal dungeon crawling stuff.
And that's good, Jason. At least you're looking at them, at the stuff.
Well, I look at everything. It's just I'd like to make use of the high-level characters and the nations and the armies, and I'm very interested in. I can see Joe Block's doing a thing right now on the armies of Earth, and Gaetano had done a bunch of stuff with the miniatures rule systems.
Yeah,
and he wrote up a whole bunch of stuff on the old Rob Kuntz webpage or our blog about the various armies of Earth. So I'm very interested in that just for information, but I'm a war gamer, so I'd like to run a Greyhawk war game. And Mike,
Yeah, One Night Stands are good too. Yeah, that's great, Jason. That'd be awesome. Please sit tight. Wait till you see the week we're going to have this upcoming week. This week was good. Next week is just as good. So please sit tight there when we do the announcements here. So Jason, what's going on tonight, man? Oh, thanks, Bishop. What do you got going?
Well, there's been we're working a couple people, Gary Holian and Rich G. He's an old Grey Talker, and we're working on getting an advanced version of the index up on Cannon Fire. And I've been doing some work right now. There's Zach Howard. He does a lot on Xenopus, and he did his Tower of Xenopus through DM's Guild, and I'm indexing that right now.
Oh, cool.
It's a small thing. I think it's just 18 pages. I think the PDF's
Just
like
small thing.
$1.99. But it's an interesting little thing, and it's an addendum for Saltmarsh. Because they've placed the Tower of Xenopus right down there.
Yeah.
And I've been doing a lot with Spine Castle and neglecting my Blackmore Gazette, but I'm going to get back to it. I get these pressures from creative pressure saying you better do some work on this. So that's what I've been involved with right now.
Are you submitting something for the Earth Journal this quarter? If
No,
Oh,
I'm
okay.
kind of
I got it. I got it. I got it. I understand. But the Spine Castle thing, if Gary is not on, you need to push him to get his content out.
Gary is not gonna. He's gonna come on whenever he comes on.
No,
He
that's
doesn't.
what, getting the content out, man. Getting it
Oh,
out.
Gary's doing stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
get the content out on this Earth Journal and the Earth Journal during this con we're gonna have.
Yeah.
We don't want it, because that'll be a great thing to have that out for that October convention. It'd be exciting. So cool, man. That's great. I'm so excited to hear you got a lot of fuels going on. That's great.
I do. I've been a little I've been a little sick lately, so I haven't done as much as I normally do.
And for those of you, good Seeker, that's great to hear because I got on him in a personal direct chats, saying, "Hey man, come on man, get your stuff, get it in the crystal, please," because we
Yeah.
want this Earth Journal. I got mine in, so everyone, you'll get to see custom J class, my Undead Hunter subclass of Paladin. Hey man, give me your honest opinion. If you don't like it, hey, no problem. Play test it, change it, do whatever you want with it. But it's going to be out in this Earth Journal, so that's cool. Oh, cool, Seeker, awesome. Jason, another good thing for you. Carlos says he's almost ready for a game for you guys. You, Tim, and that'd be great.
Oh,
So,
that'd be great. And
yeah,
I want to
that's
start
awesome.
up a game of my own. So
Cool.
I got to get past these technological problems, get a better system.
That is a key, Jason. I think you get that done, man. You could just run stuff right off Discord,
Yeah, that's what I figure.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you coming on tonight, too. So next, Anna, what do you got going?
Well, the Atlas, it's starting to sound like a broken record, but we did some tests. We did the area around Greyhawk, that will be map 15 in the book and in the Atlas. And we figured out that there is almost 400 settlement names just on that spread map that will be on 211 by 17s. There is 390 something, and then plus the little forests and all the other names, then we are probably up in close to 500. So there is not a way we can list all the names on each map spread. That will take way too much room. So we have to skip that bit. So there will be a master index at the end. That's it. So that meant that all of a sudden, first we've had like, oh, that's a huge drawback because now we can't have it. But actually that all of a sudden means that we have more space down on the map to do something with. So now we're trying to, me and a couple of close collaborators on this to figure out how to best use that. So I have a couple of ideas and stuff that I'm going to try out this upcoming week. So hopefully by this time next week or within a week, there will be a new blog post and a post on Patreon and stuff that will show some new layouts or kind of updated layouts and some ideas, and we can probably be ready for production, so to speak, to start actually producing the various maps with that. And we also figured out how to index things in the master. So there will be a master Excel file, and that will be available as a separate Excel file too. So with every single item on the map will be mentioned there too. So which will be in the many thousands of settlements, because if there's like 500 almost, there's like 400 just in that little bit of the map. I'm starting to realize that there's way more settlements than I thought it would be. So there is lots and lots and lots of stuff.
It's so Anna and I, like you said, we did the map updates, and I really appreciated that on Friday. That was so awesome.
You're welcome.
so I forgot Durbanford, and I forgot. You ready for this? I forgot the Winchester Estate and
See?
Keogh Land, and the
See?
town next to
And
it, Rushford. I
you
forgot.
talked about the Winchester Estate, and then we forgot
We
about it.
forgot about. So those are the
Well,
three.
we have to do it in a month or
A month or so, or
some weeks.
whenever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
then we make a new update because now we did most of the works. Then we can just add a few. So
Oh
yeah,
man.
that's easy. Yeah.
So guys, great stuff coming. All right, let's see what we
Yep.
have here. I'm looking forward to this Legends and Lore this week, and I did this. I don't know if it's going to happen. I reached out to Jim Ward and said, "Hey, if you want to come on, you're more than welcome to." I don't know if it's going to happen, but Legends and Lore, we're going to go over the Wonders of Greyhawk Adventures, and that's this book in all the greatness of it. The items in it, we'll talk about the spells, the deities, the great stories that are in this book, monsters, drowned ones, are in here. Really, really cool things. And so we'll dissect this. I love this publication. I wouldn't call them artifacts. Most of them aren't artifacts, but there's a lot of great, unique, one-named, one-off items in there. Collar of Tusmit and Purple Gem of the Vespi Forest, all sorts of things, right? Just neat. So that's what we're going to do on Wednesday night. That'll start off the week. Yeah. And what doesn't work? Okay. What doesn't work?
Well,
Is there
we'll
some
talk
things that
about
doesn't
what will
work?
work. Well, we talk about what works, but we also talk about what not works. So,
All right.
yeah.
Well, yes. Okay. All right. Mike, I was like, you threw me for a curveball there.
Yep.
But then again,
that was great.
I'm easily, yes. My brain. All right. New adventure Thursday night. Incident at Junction Blockhouse, right in the Principality of Ulick. The new symbol to the right. That's the first Ulick Pathfinders. That Bill, the Master Crafter. Yes, I asked Drawmage himself to come on the show, Stolak. You never know. So hopefully I've
And we will
invited
have
him.
Len
and Jim Ward together.
And
Oh my
Drawmage.
God.
So we get all the wizards here. So yeah.
Yes.
You get Big B, I will be very happy.
I would love that to happen. We shall see. You never know.
And we get Melf too, maybe. So yeah, you never know. Yeah, see?
Have a whole group, and then we could have and we could get Tim on. We could have Skeeve as well, so we could have a fun party. This is like levels 4th and 5th, guys. Right in the Principality of Ulick. It'll be a 2-weeker. All right. Fun times. Tom's looking forward to it because he gets to play Kren, his half ogre. Next Saturday. This is a big one. I'm gonna shout this out too. All right. So Blue Box is going to start their Greyhawk campaign a week from Tuesday. That's June 6th. Oh my gosh. Is that what? No. June 6th, right? No, June 9th. I do go June 6th. June 9th. Blue Box starts June 9th. I go June 6th with them. Saturday night special. I'm going to run the new cast of Blue Box RPG and John, the DM, through an adventure. It's not. I'm not running Hamlet. I'm starting in Hamlet, so I'll have some of Hamlet on the map. All right. I got all these new first level characters here. The whole group. All right. We're gonna run them through, and we're gonna do a little one in my campaign, and then John will pick it up with these characters and start running on Blue Box RPG on Tuesday, June 9th. So it'll be awesome. I look forward to this. I think it'll be a fun time. Some of these people have never played in Greyhawk. Most of the group has never played in Greyhawk. So, yes. What edition? That's a good question, and hopefully he can answer that for you. So that'll be a great one. And guys, if you do not watch his show on June 9th, you are fools. He's given away a 1983 glossography box set in very, very good condition as the giveaway item that night to celebrate. So you need to watch, guys. You need to watch that show. So, yep. He's got a nice mix on that. And then Sunday night. This show next week, we will have some different people on. So Anna and Jason will step aside for 1 week.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, definitely. I especially, I'm so glad I could contribute this much to this discussion, so to speak. So because this is
Well,
I'm out of my comfort zone here.
this
It's
is. I got 3 guests. I can't wait. I can't wait, John. It's going to be. But we're going to add the crap out of this thing coming up, man.
Yeah.
Because I want the Saturday night show to be massive and his Tuesday night launch. And here's the great thing, guys. On Tuesday, he goes, and then Bandit Kingdoms. Will's game is right after. You got a doubleheader of Greyhawk now on Tuesdays. So he goes 6 to 9 Eastern, and then 9 to 12 Eastern is Will's. So you have a doubleheader on Tuesday nights of Greyhawk content. So it's gonna be fantastic. All right, next Sunday, the Art of Mike Disney. Mike Disney himself's coming on. I got Brian Sublime
awesome. Yeah.
and Bill the Master Crafter. We're gonna do a miniatures and terrain game, not a game, but a discussion on how you do this on a budget, some tricks they do, painting tips, where to get figures cheap, tricks on 3D printing, 3D printers to recommend. That we're gonna have a whole thing on. It's gonna be a crafting
Oh, I'm
seminar.
really looking forward to that.
Thanks. Yeah,
Mike's the real
Yep,
trip.
me too.
Yeah.
And I'm normally not doing this, but I'm so interested in seeing how the masters do something that I
You're
don't
welcome,
know much
Sean.
about. So, yep. Mhm.
yeah. So it's no, Josh. There's not gonna be any ramming of minifigs into anyone. So just look and please ask questions because we want to be as helpful as possible. Because I don't want people to think that I'm an arrogant SOB with $100,000 of terrain in my basement and that no one else can play that way. You know what I'm saying? Because you can, man. You know, it's not a big deal. You can start small and work your way up. And myself, Nightheart Gaming, Blue Box, we all play this style with miniatures, tabletop style. So it's a possibility to do it for everyone. That's all I'm saying. And just take some of the suggestions. Wait till you see what Bill makes stuff out of. He makes stuff out of crap lying around in the house. Toothpicks, man, are huge. You know, he made acorns. I mean, he can make terrain out of almost anything you have. So it'll be a real fun show. And look, I just moved my thing around trying to get that out of the way there, John. Thank you so very much for the cheer. Another special hero point for Thursday night. And by the way, yeah, cheer the hell out of for Blue Box on Saturday because you know, these first level characters are going to need it with all these critical hits that are about to be coming. Just kidding. I'm not going to TPK anyone. Hopefully not. So hopefully you had this was not a great show, guys. Thanks. Hope you had a great time. Yeah, have a good discussion, Jason, Anna. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
No, you're
Yeah, it was
welcome.
great.
Another
good to see Carla.
4-stream week. 4-stream weeks in a row, guys. I'm burning out here, but we're gonna do it. Tim scared the shit out of me last night. If you watched late night, I was scared to death, and I knew it. And everyone else is like, "Oh, this is no big deal." Because first of all, Walt, if you're still on, I love you, but Walt's a little tipsy, and he's like, his halflings running around hitting people, rings of the ram. Like, what the hell are you? You gotta get the hell out of here! Oh my god, I was literally, my heart was beating. I'm like, we're all gonna die here if we don't get out of this place. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you've never seen me like that before because I knew what was going to happen, Tim. I knew we were going to die there, and I did not want that character who's 30, I've been playing for 35 years, dying a horrible death at the hands of the slave master. So, oh my God, that was great.
Oh, that's so Tim.
Yeah, it was. It was. He tricked the hell out of us, too. I mean, I should have seen it coming, but I didn't, and so we killed the person we were trying to free. We freed her. She killed herself with the pearl was a poison pill. Blah, and then all hell broke loose. Oh my God, it was great. So that was awesome last night. So thank you all. I'll see you all. See you Wednesday. So I got 2 days off.
Yeah.
But a lot of ads coming this week. I apologize if I over ad everyone up this week, but I really want to promote we have a new channel, Blue Box, with Greyhawk content because we desperately need Greyhawk content out there. So we got that'll be another channel. So we'll have 4. You got myself, Carlos, Will, and John. We'll have 4 channels now doing Greyhawk content on a regular basis, and that's a great thing. So we're gonna raid into Rob Toohey. Okay, you guys know Rob Toohey? He actually plays 5e, but he's a fantasy ground genius, and I think he'd be a good one. He's on now. Let's raid into him. So
Yeah.
all right, let me hit the right button here. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, man, I was scared last night. Sometimes thanks, Josh. Sometimes you gotta know when to get the hell out of Dodge, and that was like, it's time, we gotta leave. So I'm setting the rate up now. Good, nice. 38, that's a nice healthy number. 39, oh cool, almost right. 10 seconds. Boys, Josh, I have no idea what you're talking about. Rob Toohey is he's an older gentleman. He does 5e. He's huge in fantasy grounds. He's friends with Mike Celestian. He's friends, pretty friends with Duff. I've never raided him before, so here we go. We're gonna hit over there. Don't worry about it. All right, raid going. Thank you all. Awesome, guys. Thanks for covering for me while I had to hit the restroom there.
Oh, no problem. Yeah. And Jason, your internet and computer held up really well tonight.
That's good. That's good. I've been out quite a bit